Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on April the 4th, 2017. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, my rescuer for the week,
Caffeine Rage, and I'm not sure if I like where this is going.
On today's show, we will of course discuss the games that we've been playing. Total Biscuit and Jim Sterling paid a visit to Valve. Persona 5's devs threaten streamers. We Happy Few is getting a movie adaptation. PETA whines at Nintendo. We'll have our weekly community corner and our weekly Steam Discovery Queues. Hello, Rage.
And timestamps will be available in the show notes and the YouTube descriptions.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks. Good catch. I think I'm like 50-50 on remembering that, so yeah, just every time I forget, feel free to barge in there with it. Actually, I'm probably a little worse than 50-50. Maybe like
60-40.
Yeah, 60-40 or 70-30 or 80-20. I don't think I'm quite 90-10 yet, but well, there's always striving to to hit that ratio. So what have you been up to this week, buddy?
Fighting the damn YouTube in-card tool and whining about it on Twitter.
That's the place to whine about things. That's where I do all of my whining.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. Acid engineers were right. It's damn hard to get a square peg in a round hole. Because here's the thing. Okay, my avatar on YouTube is a diskette, a floppy diskette. On the end card, they have this round circle, like most circles are, with the avatar in it. But they cut off a good chunk of my avatar, so it makes it look horrendous. So I've been trying to get something that looks decent, or try to get some video trick to get it to work, and it's beyond my abilities. I think I'm going to have to admit defeat on this one and come up with something else.
Yes,
the easier thing was just to leave fucking annotations in place, but no.
Nope, YouTube has to change things all the time.
Yeah, YouTube in 2016 was broadcast yourself. In 2017, go fuck yourself. Thankfully,
the Greek symbol for the psychological profession fits within the circle, so I'm fine. Just as long as I never change my image.
You mean as long as I don't make you another one?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that's the recreation I did for you when you lost yours.
No, I think that's the one that...
I know I had to rebuild your avatar because you didn't have the files whenever I was doing show assets.
Yeah, and then the one that you made was better than the one that I used, so I used yours instead. So yeah, that's how that came about. But I'm never going to change it, because I don't change things. I have problems, man, with change.
You have problems with actually doing things.
I do. This week, too. So, like, not all, but most of the insanity from last week is done. I'm getting settled in and all that jazz into my new position, but...
Yeah, most of the paper cuts have healed from clawing your way out of the mountain.
Yeah, there is... Oh, well, there will always be a growing mountain of paperwork that I have to fight. Kyle, it's been a long time since you've done one of your little Post-it note drawings. I want you to draw me fighting a mountain of paperwork to keep it down, because there's still a lot of paperwork involved. Because I work with tons of insurance and government stuff, which there's mountains of paperwork with insurance companies and government-sponsored things.
Or the other solution is just, a hand under just this mountain of papers.
No, but I want to win. I want to be winning. So far, I'm winning.
Easy there, Trump.
I came home with a huge stack of messy papers and things that I needed to put together, and they're all nice and organized and sitting in folders on the table, ready to go into my bag to take with me.
Back. Yeah, tomorrow you'll forget them, get halfway there, and it's like, oh shit.
I hope not. But so yeah, since last week, I mean, you know, we recorded, and then I had 3 more days of what felt like a never-ending nightmare of paperwork. And then now I'm back, and things are a little bit closer to normal. I have to drive a lot farther right now until we get moved, so a larger portion of my day is now dedicated to a commute, which is fine. It's more podcast time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, that takes away from some of my time.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not with the banana, right?
No, that's still not fixed. It's real sad, y'all. It's real sad. So, don't know when that's going to be fixed.
Have you tried just leaving it out on the counter, see if it ripens some?
It's sat outside in the rain and in the sunshine and in the cold. If it's not ripened at this point, it's never going to.
Yeah, I think it's gone to rotten. Best throw it away.
But yeah, so
let's go to the grocery store and get a new one.
Did I talk about the exploding piston last week?
Well, you mentioned that bad things were in the cylinder.
Yeah, one of the pistons basically exploded.
Okay, I'm not a mechanic, but that doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
I mean, I realize that there's a lot of explosions in the cylinders, but usually the piston should be below the explosion, not the thing exploding.
Yeah, explosion, I guess, is the wrong term. It sheared and sprayed metal everywhere, so it wasn't like an actual explode. Like, nothing dramatic happened, like shooting the piston through the hood or anything like that. I have actually seen that happen before.
That would have been humorous, and you should have uploaded that to YouTube if it happened. That would have paid for your repair work.
Yeah, but so we were just gonna replace the engine, because we thought, like, the amount of labor that's gonna have to go into pulling the engine, pulling out the piston, checking the cylinder, seeing if it needs to be lined, replacing everything, like, that's $1,500 or more. And we thought it would be cheaper to find like a remanufactured, rebuilt motor, but no, it's not. When you drive a sports car, things like that, when you drive a sports car that's not a Mustang, things like that are incredibly expensive. It's like $3,000 for a remanufactured engine, $5,000 for a new one. So we were like, yeah, we'll just fix it, but fixing it takes a lot longer. So it's still not fixed.
Shit's fucked up, yo.
It is. But, so yeah, I guess this will be a nice transition to games. I have not had hardly any time to play games this week. And you haven't played too many either. So this might, if we don't get sidetracked, this might be the shortest game section we've had in like 2 months.
Don't worry, I'll make for next time. Well, a lot of my game time was eaten up by finding the YouTube in-card tool, trying to make that look decent and failing miserably. Yeah, which, yes, I realize. If I don't make it look decent, then it fits the rest of the content on my channel, but still. Oh, and beyond that, I had I can't really call it a failed Sunday sampler. I just had one of those weeks that everything I tried just didn't click with me, and I didn't have anything really in reserve to fall back on just yet.
Yeah.
Which, happens. The thing that I had knew that was interesting was another visual novel, but the thing is that I just didn't have the time to do it because visual novels take a long time for me to do a Sunday sampler on. Even just the first impressions, I usually like to get through most of, if not a complete storyline. So, that's usually several hours. Then for visual novels, it's not my off-the-cuff. I have pretty much the entire script written out, which takes me a lot longer to do because I lack the writing talent to be able to knock that out very quickly.
Right.
And I also go through and revise things quite a bit whenever I'm doing the editing and just the recording of it in general. So I would say a visual novel Sunday sampler takes me a good 2 to 3 times longer than the usual Sunday samplers, even from start to finish. And I just didn't have the time for the visual novel. That, and honestly didn't want to have two visual novels in a row. So really a lot of my gameplay that I did that I could actually talk about, because I did set up a Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 this weekend, and got that working, because that requires a little bit of finagling. Particularly, getting the graphical settings working correctly, because it's an old game and it does odd things with modern hardware. Let's put it this way: if you turn the bloom on with the incorrect video cards, everything has this kind of nuclear glow to it.
Well, that goes well with all of my playing of Fallout here lately, so.
Well, unfortunately, I can't make the water green, otherwise it would kind of fit. But I did have a couple of games. I played a little bit more of Feria. I played most of the free single-player content. I've unlocked one of the paid campaigns just with the free currency that they gave me. And the free currency is given on a login bonus, so yeah, that's actually really nice of them. Like I talked about last week, Feria is very, very generous. And I played a little bit of Feria online. I have to say, well, I tweeted this out. A victory at Feria feels so much more satisfying than anything I ever did in Hearthstone. Bar none. And it's mostly from the fact that there's not a single I win card. Looking back at the gameplay overall, for the couple of matches I did, my victories were I outmaneuvered them, or I had a superior tactic, or I did something that wasn't just a single I win card. Which is really refreshing, because Hearthstone, I'm looking at the upcoming expansion that comes out this week, and I see so many pretty much I win cards, or just complete turnaround cards. After playing Feria, it's kind of off-putting, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I still need to play Feria.
I think you would like it. Granted, the games are a lot longer, just because of the tactical nature of the board. And I think the turn timer is a minute 30. I know it's a fairly long turn timer, but because of all the maneuvering and everything, it has to be, really. But it has some interesting elements. The closest that they ever really get to Hearthstone would be the Pandora mode, which is essentially their answer to the arena. And that is, they do have kind of I win cards in their treasures. Did I talk about the Pandora mode last time?
You mentioned it, but I don't think you really talked about it. I don't think you played it.
I played through a practice run. They give you a free practice run a day, or at least it seems like it right now. I haven't played it enough to be able to go through it, because Pandora takes a long time to go through, because you're drafting the deck and then you have at least 2 or 3 matches to play before you run out that run. But it's done just like Arena, where only this time you have a choice out of 5 cards for each draw. And on choice 10, 20, and 30, instead of having 5 cards, you have 3 cards, and these are your treasure cards. These are absurdly powerful treasures that are probably the closest that they ever get to a Hearthstone I win card. But even then, I haven't seen anything that is a definite game winner, that not without proper setup of the board, which is where the entire game really is set apart from Hearthstone for me. It's just that board. But as you play a Pandora game, as you go through the deck, you draw shards of Pandora. Once you draw, or once either person draws 5 shards total, which the shard, once you draw a shard, you also draw another card, so it doesn't rob you of your card draw. Pandora awakens, and then the treasures that you pick during your draft are shuffled into your remaining deck. And also the Feria Wells that are on the board that you have to capture to gain extra Faria dries up. And the Faria treasures are very, very powerful. For example, the one that I used a fair amount was a 6 damage with anything adjacent to it taking 3 damage, which 6 damage kills, I would say, about 2/3 of all creatures. Only the most powerful of creatures are able to survive it.
Okay.
So, yeah, a very, very powerful ability, but it requires a lot of land to power it. And that's the trade-off, and it's also a fairly mana-intensive card to use. But one thing I have noticed that I didn't really pay attention to originally was the difference in health. In that the gods, your playable character, instead of 30 health, like in Hearthstone, you only have 20. So it really, once you get to the point where you're dealing damage to another god, that's pretty much game over. That's the end game. As a matter of fact, the game that I won, I didn't do any damage to him. I got him in essentially in a checkmate position, and he surrendered. And this was because I put a land that I controlled, so I could summon things on it, adjacent to his god, and he realized he was fucked. And he also had a 9/9 right there at him.
Nice.
But like I said, that is outmaneuvering him. That's seeing a hole in his defenses and exploiting it. And that's why I really liked Faria, and why I still like it. They are also, like I covered before, very generous with their cards. Going through the single-player content, it feels like I'm actually competitive because I've gotten enough cards to be able to do things. And combine that with being able to go multicolor to have a bit of flexibility, which I was a little confused on what the difference between yellow and blue, because they're both movement colors last time. I played enough now that I found out that yellow tends to have flying and haste creatures. Flying is single tile movement, but they can move over water. Blue has a lot of jump creatures that is 2 spaces of movement, or aquatic creatures that could move through water, or a blue land, but they're blocked off by standard land if they're an aquatic creature. So there's the difference between those two colors that I was kind of missing last time, just because I hadn't played it quite enough. But any questions about Faria?
I don't think so, at least not until I play it. I mean, like I said last week, you pretty much just sold me on the game. I just have to find the time to play it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to... if they could do a phone version of it that works with my phone, it'd be a real winner for me, because that's really the only time I play Hearthstone now, is just firing up for the tavern brawls on the weekends, because that's about the only time I can be competitive on it. And if they have a phone client for me, that's pretty much Hearthstone gone. Because honestly, I'm enjoying this far more than I ever did Hearthstone. I haven't felt frustrated because I liked a card. Yes, there are analogs to other cards. There is a mind control card, but it is essentially a version of mind control / power word death, or power word pain. 2 attack or less, you're able to mind control it, but it's also a very expensive card. There's a version of polymorph, but the thing is that the polymorph you may not want to do, because it creates a frog which has a jump ability, and it's a 2/2. So it's still a viable creature, and if you're able to buff it, you're able to take that and turn it against them. So it's one of those things that there's yes, there is the analogs to a lot of Hearthstone abilities and a lot of Hearthstone mechanics, but it's changed enough that I feel competitive, even with my limited card set, and I've only gotten 1 legendary so far. And even the legendaries, Well, here's the legendary I got. I got a green legendary. I blank on her name, but she's called the Relentless. Every time she dies, she goes back to my hand, but she gets a buff. The first time I summon her, she's very expensive for her price. Second time I summon her, she's about average. And then beyond that, she's a very, very cheap creature for her attack and health. So it's one of those cards that you kind of want to sacrifice in order to get it again to get that buff. It's a very interesting mechanic for a legendary. And that's what the legendaries tend to be, is just interesting mechanics, but not instant I wins.
Right.
And there's still ways to get rid of that card. You could incapacitate her, you could frog her. You could just block her off, so you're having to sacrifice her yourself and you're not getting her killed. Which makes it so that you're wasting a lot more time to build her up, because that's the thing about that legendary, is that it's a build-up legendary. So there's a lot of interesting mechanics going on.
Yeah, it sounds... I love the strategy aspect. I love that it's not so much about having the right card at the right time. I mean, I suppose if you go up against somebody that just has way, way, way better stuff than you, then it would be difficult to win even with better strategy. But in general, being able to...
That, at least just yet, because I've looked at some of the cards in the crafting mode, which I've finally unlocked, which the crafting mode's pretty much like Hearthstone. You're able to disenchant cards that you have, well, in this case, more than 3 of, because that's the amount of cards that you could have, multiples you could have in a deck. Except for legendaries, which is a single card. But I haven't seen anything that is truly a I win card.
Right.
And that's the huge distinction, is that Hearthstone, it feels like... it feels almost like an anime of a card battle game. Aha, I've got you. I've activated my trap card. Now go fuck yourself. You know what I mean, though? That feeling of, oh, well, I have this one card, and that's going to win the battle for me. In this, it's more trying to march across the field and taking land, taking territory, and building up your, essentially your army. And the fact that they're also going to have co-op stuff in the single player is going to be really interesting. And just the fact that the single player is so generous. I mean, I've called it generous several times, but that's the fact, is that the chapter of the single player that unlocked with the free premium currency, it was 4,000 gold normally, which is the normal currency that you get, which is probably, well, just doing the daily quests would be about a week's worth of content, or a week's worth of stuff. But you're getting that back exactly with just the chests that you get, the essentially the booster packs. And then you get a little bit of extra gold on top of it. And this is on top of being able to do the your dailies in that mode, and the single player objectives, which are completely separate, which also give you things. So it's one of those things that you don't go immediately into the multiplayer. You spend probably a couple days just in single player, getting a feel for the game and going through the single player content, get those booster packs to unlock a lot of stuff, and to boost your level, to also give you the formulas to kind of the blueprints for various decks that you could then modify. You don't have to use a formula. It's just one of those, it's their version of the starter decks.
Right.
And it gives you more of an idea of what to do, or different interesting mechanics. But that's also where the single player is teaching you. Teaching you, maybe it's not always the best to immediately go for the kill. Maybe you want to do something else first. And I will say that some of the single player content is damn hard. Right now I'm stuck on one of the epic level single players, where it has a special rule that after the NPC's turn, every time he evolves everything randomly to the next level up of mana. So a 1 mana creature will level up to a random 2 mana creature. And it's just, kind of dicking me over because sometimes I'll just get just terrible creatures for the mana cost. And they don't trigger their essentially battle cry whenever they're summoned. So some of the creatures that I get, or a lot of their mana cost is sunk into those powerful battle cries or those useful battle cries. And that's kind of dicking me over. It's just one of those things that I haven't played enough to get lucky on. But that's also a very particular chapter of the single player where it's teaching you to think on your feet, essentially.
Right. Sounds interesting. I mean, I can't wait to check it out whenever
Obviously, you
get
can.
the chance. Fair enough. All right. What else you got?
Okay, well, the only other game that I played at least in length that I could talk about was I played a little bit of The Great Whale Road. And this is a game that really misrepresents itself on the Steam store. Because you look at it, take a look at it right now.
It's actually on my wish list. I've looked at it before.
Yeah, this looks pretty much standard RPG Banner Saga, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from it. Was very Banner Saga-esque.
It's a management game.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a management game with some RPG elements. And that was really, really, really off-putting to me. And also the combat is weird. That was also the other thing that was really off-putting to me, was that essentially your party has a loyalty meter to them. And the more loyal the people are, the sooner they'll show up in combat. So if you have a party that's not very loyal to you, you'll spend several turns being by yourself, being beaten on by a mob of angry Vikings. And it's just, kind of off-putting.
All right. That sounds like an odd mechanic. Although the fact that it's a management game kind of makes it more appealing to me.
It was just one of those things. I went into it. It's like, wait a minute, this feels like a management game. And honestly, it's one of those that, well, there's a lot of people complaining about repetitive content in it, and I could definitely see where it's coming from, because it's one of those that just, it's very FTL like almost, where it has the random events popping up. And I see that coming up time and time and time again. Very, very easily, if they don't have something to block it, and it doesn't seem like that they do, at least according to some of the reviews that I have seen on it. And also, well, let's put it this way. I fired up the game, I stopped, I looked, I tabbed out, I went to the store to make sure it wasn't early access, because it's supposed to have 3 factions in it. 2 of the factions are marked coming soon. Yeah.
Well, alrighty then.
Yeah, it's one of those things I actually stopped and looked to make sure I didn't mess up, because I saw that it went off of early access, and that's why I was trying to play it. And it was one of those things, Also, something else that was kind of weird is that the tutorial, it's one of those info dumps that doesn't really tell you a lot. It'll say, okay, now you click the end turn button to finish off your turn. But it doesn't point out that the end turn button is in a very unstandard spot. Or the fact that, okay, they talk about all the stats, but they never point out which stat is which. And they just have little icons on on the management screens. It's like, okay, you're telling me that these stats are important, but you're not telling me which fucking stat is which.
Does it not have tooltips?
Not that I saw.
Oh, well, that's annoying.
It feels almost like an iPad game. Which sounds, a lot more damning than I mean it to be, but, it's one of those things that it doesn't feel like it was really made for PC.
Right.
And that's the only thing I could really think of that would kind of fit as sort of an iPad game. And it's just a very, very weird feeling trying to play it.
Maybe it is designed for mobile, and they're releasing it on Steam because why not? But maybe that's their primary focus, is to design for mobile.
I have no idea. I mean, they say it's a seafaring RPG for PC. I humbly disagree.
Yeah, it looks neat, and it does very much like they're selling it or advertising it very much as a
they're trying to
Banner
sell
Saga.
They're trying to sell as Banner Saga. Granted, I haven't really played Banner Saga yet. It's on my to-do list. It's one of the Banner Saga is a game that I'm waiting for the third installment because it's a trilogy.
Yeah, I've played the first one, but I haven't played the second one yet. It's a good game.
I want to wait till at least the third one is close to coming out before picking up the first one to start playing it, just so I can pretty much go through the entire story. But it's one of those that this feels very misrepresented. And if they showed what the game actually was a lot better, if they were showing that you were trying to manage essentially a settlement of Vikings instead of talking about the story aspects of it, then I would have went into it with a lot different mindset and wouldn't have been quite as put off. Granted, they are patching this game like crazy right now, so maybe in a few weeks I'll try it again and just see how it does. But it just has a lot of strange design choices.
Right. Okay.
Which sometimes strange design choices work out. This time it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. They may have also released it too early into early access.
Well, obviously, if 2/3 of the factions are not available.
Well, what was it? Didn't 8-Bit Armies, didn't they do that? Or did they release multiple versions of the game that all work together?
I think they released multiple versions of the game that work together, if it's the game I'm thinking of. I know that there was one that they released a bunch of different versions that kind of linked together into a more massive game.
I think it's 8-Bit Armies. A quick Steam search will. Yeah, because there's 8-Bit Armies. Yeah. Here we go. 8-Bit Armies, which is the original like modern military stuff, and then there's 8-Bit Hordes, which is I think that one's fantasy themed. I think it's like orcs and medieval stuff, and then there's 8-Bit Invaders, which is sci-fi, and you can play all three multiplayers mesh, so you can be whichever faction you want for multiplayer. So it's kind of modular. Like together, they're the price of it's $45 if you bought all three, but each of them individually are $15 if you really only care about one of the factions. But originally, that game released only as 8-Bit Armies.
That, and they don't seem to be indicating that it's going to be like that. It's like I said, it's very strange.
Right.
I think it's one of those games that the developer has this particular vision in mind, but doesn't realize that the general gaming public views it as a different thing, as a different beast.
Yeah.
Which isn't a good or a bad thing. It's just how it is.
Right. That's the image or the idea that people have about what the game is going to be.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so let's hear about Fallout.
Yeah. So the only game I played this week, I did play some more Fallout Shelter, but like logging on once or twice a day to check on things, like no more fun, interesting stories happened. I'm mostly just training everybody in Fallout Shelter that goes out into the wasteland so that they'll be better and can get better stuff.
I'm just saying they're playing my plot, my overthrow of the Overseer while petting my kitty.
And running on the treadmill. Right now you're training in the endurance room so that you have more health. Maybe I shouldn't do that if you're going to try and
Well, I am second in line, right?
overthrow the Overseer. Wouldn't Katie be second in line? I guess
no,
you
we'll
two
have to
can
ask her.
you two can fight about it. She's got power armor, but you've got a Gatling laser still. 'Cause you still have the best weapon, but she has power armor. So
Yeah, but she's also fucking brutal.
she is.
She's killed again in RimWorld, by the way. Wasn't a colonist, at least.
Oh, sad day.
But just, yeah. Nearly cut a guy in two, actually. She's very wicked with her blade.
That's my girl.
Yeah, she has a sword.
Anyways, though, so mostly what I played this week was Fallout 4. Just exploring the wastes. I'm level... What level did I get to? 14 or 15? I have done no quests beyond the very first initial quest that it makes you do once you leave the vault. And the settlement quest, like, that teaches you about building your settlements up. And then I just picked a direction and started walking. And I've come across a few interesting things, which I'm pretty sure come from mods. I didn't explore the entire map before, but particularly the area around where you start, I did. And I don't remember any of these things. So one of the interesting
do you have
things...
Wild Wasteland on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's always the best way to play Fallout, honestly.
You find some cool stuff. Like, was it New Vegas that had the Indiana Jones reference when he's in the fridge? The skeleton's in the fridge and it's got the Indiana Jones hat.
Yeah, and they also had the Holy Hand Grenade.
I don't remember the Holy Hand Grenade. Was that in New Vegas too?
Yeah, that was in New Vegas, and it did an absurd amount of damage, but you only get... I'm pretty sure you only get 3. Because 3 is the number.
I should watch that. It's been a while since I've seen the Holy Grail.
And let's see, one other... there was 2 other Wild Wastelands that I could remember offhand. There was a spaceship exploding. That's how you got the alien blaster.
Yep.
And then... shoot, I'm blanking on the name of the expansion. The essentially Aperture Science one. There's 2 there that I can remember. There's all the letters from the high school sign is stolen, and later on in the level you find it spells out Wolverines.
I've never seen that one before. That's amazing.
And also in that expansion, there's a bunch of dogs playing poker.
Oh, that's great. So I stumbled upon... Are you familiar? Sorry.
Sorry, I was just... Old World Blues, that's what it is. I knew it was Blues, but I couldn't remember the exact title of it.
Okay.
I need to go back and play New Vegas.
Are you familiar with the Cult of Adam? Or the Church of Adam? I think they were introduced in Fallout 3. I don't know if they were in Fallout New Vegas.
Is that the people that were worshipping the bomb in Megaton?
Yes.
Then no.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I was just wandering around, and I stumbled upon this garbage dump or landfill or something like that. And they were... excuse me, all these barrels of radioactive waste piled up everywhere. And there were no enemies, just a bunch of corpses lying around. And they were all female corpses. So, just exploring, like looting the bodies, seeing what they had useful, discovering that these are all females. And
just exactly how'd you do this?
By taking all of their stuff, and then their clothes come off, and oh look, they're wearing bras.
Also, you haven't modded the game too far yet.
No, I didn't do that. I mean, you know, I have before, but I didn't this time. Anyways, but they're all bald because they're just like hanging out with radiation, so all their hair's falling off. So, actually, you couldn't tell until you took their clothes off. But so just wandered around exploring, like getting some good loot. Walked into this little warehouse building, and there's more radioactive stuff in there. And there's a corpse of there's a dead guy, and a gun laying next to him, and like the implication that he killed himself. And there's several bodies laying around him. That, I mean, you can't tell, but it's like the way that it's set up, it looks like he's killed them and then killed himself. Mm-hmm. And there's a computer, and you could read through the logs. And he's a guy who didn't believe in the cult of Adam, but thought that it was a good way to pick up chicks. And he thought that he would be fine from the radiation poisoning if he took enough Rad-X and Radaway.
Well, isn't that how it works in the Fallout universe?
That is how it works in the Fallout universe, but he ran out. And then several of the ladies picked up on the idea that he wasn't actually a true believer, so they came to kill him. So he killed them, and then realized that he had radiation poisoning. So then he killed himself. And like all of this is in the logs.
Yeah,
he makes one last log before he kills himself.
Can he just get rid of the radiation poisoning?
He could, I guess, if he went and got some more Radaway, but then it wouldn't be a nifty little sort of cult thing.
Plus, he wasn't able to bang any more bald chicks.
Yep, that's very true. So that was interesting. And he had a special weapon that was a pipe, and it was called the Punisher. So I could only assume what that was for.
Oh my.
And then also exploring, I found a graveyard that at first it just looks like a normal graveyard with headstones, and there's like one crypt. So I go inside the crypt, obviously looking for loot, because nothing is sacred in these games. Loot could be anywhere. And there's this shrine.
And plus, you didn't have a shovel to steal from me.
And there's a shrine inside there. And I'm not sure, this is probably a reference to something else in Fallout, but it looks like this guy is worshipping some kind of ghoul. Like, that's what the shrine looks like. And I'm exploring, or like looting the place, and I trip some kind of alarm. And these two raiders come out of nowhere, and they just start screaming like, get out, thief, get out. And I don't leave, so then they start shooting at me, and I kill them, and I loot their stuff. I still don't know what the reference is. I meant to look it up in the wiki and see if it's actually a reference to something, but I haven't done that yet. So those are my two most interesting finds in my travels.
Fun times. I mean,
yeah.
I don't really have a lot to talk about in Fallout 4 because I haven't played it yet. It's on my to-do list.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go find the Brotherhood and just like power through that quest line. Because, I mean, I pretty much always side with the Brotherhood of Steel, even when they're not doing the right thing. Because sometimes they do things that are a little bit shady.
Sometimes.
Because it's like they're on one end of the extreme. But still,
I just remember the Brotherhood being dicks in New Vegas.
Yeah. They pretty much are on Fallout 4 too, unless you side with them.
And then they're only slightly less of dicks.
But then they give you like lots of power armor stuff, and they're one of the only places where you can get access to unlimited fusion cores, which are what power the armor now, because it's not just armor that you wear. It's like a little tank you get into and walk around in. Which in some ways is neat, and in some ways is incredibly frustrating. Because it requires maintenance, and you can't just like get in power armor and go everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, anything that has stairs, you're just looking at it, it's like, fuck.
But there are certain parts they they do some interesting things with it, like story-wise. Some of the places that you have to go, they're like, well, because power armor confers more benefits to you than just armor and extra strength. It's got like you can go underwater in the power armor indefinitely, and you can it has
at least until your power runs out. Then it becomes a coffin.
Then it does become a coffin. Actually, you can still move power armor without the battery, but it's very, very slow. It's like a manual pneumatic system lore-wise. It's like, oh, your batteries ran out, but you can still limp this thing home by cranking all the hydraulics
Get
yourself.
out and push.
But the power armor has like a really high radiation resistance and flame resistant, so certain places that you go for quests, it's like, well, you should probably take some power armor if you have it, because it'll make this a lot easier.
Otherwise, this is going to be very painful.
And you're going to become a mutant from all the radiation. I like the way radiation works in Fallout 4 compared to other games, the other Fallout games as well, because before, in the other Fallout games, you have basically a health meter and a radiation meter. And as you get more and more radiation, more and more bad things happen to you until you eventually die from radiation sickness. But in Fallout 4, it basically just takes away from your health bar. So the more irradiated you get, the less health you have.
Which kind of works.
Yeah, it lacks some of the interesting things that you can do from the other Fallout games, but it makes it much simpler and easier to track. So
yeah, it's like, ooh, well, I only have just a sliver of health. Time to take some brighter away and stop banging bald chicks.
Yeah, maybe if you put on power armor, he'd be okay. I don't know how he'd bang bald chicks through power armor, because I think if you cut a hole in it, it would kind of defeat the purpose of the power armor.
Simple. He brings them in with him.
Power armor for 2.
Oh my!
So yep, that's all.
Power armor's rocking.
So yeah, that's all the games I played this week. Fallout 4 for like 6 hours. It's probably gonna be like that. I don't know. I'm gonna try and intentionally play a couple other games this week, just so I have more to talk about for the next podcast. But I really am sucked into Fallout 4, and I wish I had like 50 hours to just sit down and play it. But it is kind of nice to just play it for like an hour and a half or 2 hours at a time. And it's like, all right, I've completed what I set out to do in this play session, and now I'm going to stop. Like, there's this weird sort of... I guess it's not weird. It's just like, normally whenever I play games like that, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go until I can't play games anymore, and I'm like falling asleep at my desk, and then I'll pick up where I left off tomorrow. But now I set like a little to-do set, or a little... make some little to-dos, and it's like, okay, gotta do this, gotta do this. And once I complete those things, it's like, okay, I played for an hour and a half or whatever. I completed what I set out to do, and that's it for now.
Which is kind of against the way that they design open world games these days.
I know.
Because honestly, open world games is such a time sink.
Yeah. It's really refreshing to play that way too, and I'm super glad that I went with like all of the OP starting gear, because like I said last week, my main purpose is just to explore and relax during all of the stressful stuff that's going on. And so not having to worry about anything, it's like my 10mm pistol is so powerful, it can kill most enemies with one hit. And so it's like just playing the game on easy mode, essentially. And it's fun. I'm sure, like, I've found a few enemies that take multiple hits to kill, and I'm pretty sure that, like, as I continue to level up, well, I mean, I know as I continue to level up, that advantage is going to go away. Is the enemies I'm fighting become on par with my equipment. But for now, it's still pretty OP, and I'm just exploring.
Well, it gets rid of the annoying starting area, right? I mean, that's the big thing, right?
Pretty much.
Well, that's kind of how it is with all the Fallout games, at least the ones I've played them. To be fair, I've only really sunk time into 3 in New Vegas. But it's always that initial, I would say, first 6 hours in the Wasteland. That's probably overstepping it, but it really depends on a bit how lucky you get and just, what you can find. Just that initial hump of getting on par where you're able to take out things.
Yeah, it definitely erased that. I've been playing in this new game for, I think my save says I've been playing for about 9 hours over the last couple of weeks. And it took probably 7 of those hours until I found a creature that took more than 1 hit to kill. But I know that when I get to the super mutants, whenever I stumble upon some of those guys, they're super tough. And the synths are really tough.
Shoot them in the dick.
Shoot them repeatedly in the dick.
Oh, wait, that's what I've been doing in Halo.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, those are all the games I played this week, or all the game I played this week. Are
So
you
much
ready to
for
move?
this being a short games we played.
Yeah, I know. We stretched it out. We didn't make it to an hour though, all the way to an hour on games we played. So it is shorter than the last few.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that for next week.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, I only have a few games in my library that I can play.
Yeah, only one or two, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, unless you need a break.
I'm alright. The question is, do you?
Might as well. I need to fill up my water. So
We'll take the elevator down to the news section after this.
I need to get some more elevator sound effects. And we are back from our trip through the elevator. And it is now time to talk about the news. And our first news topic of today, Jim Sterling and Total Biscuit paid a visit to Valve. And they discussed many things related to the future of Valve services. And it's important to note off the top, both Jim and TB said this, and I think it's important we do as well, that a lot of the stuff that they were shown was in the development, or some of it even in the concept stage. So while we're going to talk about this stuff, it is certainly not written in stone.
Yeah, but, that's the thing, is that it's one of those things that it feels almost speculative for some of it, because it's just in the concept phase, or just there's so much that can be changed in the between now and then. That's even assuming it does come out.
Right. So there's a big list here. Do you want to just go down the list and talk about things?
Yeah, let's just go right down the list, because they do bring up Steam Direct right off the bat. We're going to be using the Tech Raptors kind of breakdown, because I'm not sure how long Jim Sterling's video was, but the Whole Biscuits was over an hour.
Yeah, Jim's video was about 25 minutes, I think. TV got really long-winded about certain portions.
Yeah. Well, that's TV's thing, is that he is very long-winded and in-depth on a lot of things. So, yeah, that's kind of why I prefer him, to be honest.
Right. But plus, they both focused on different things. TV spent a ton of time on the... the curator system.
Yeah, well, he has the 2 of the top 10 curators.
Yeah, and Jim did not hit on it very much. He focused more on the Steam Direct and Valve's new potential security measures for dealing with things like, for example, digital homicide, and them trying to sue Steam users and suing Jim and all that other stuff. He spent some time talking about that, and that Valve is going to be introducing some protections into the Steam Direct system to help deal with that. So he spent a long time talking about that, because that personally affected him. So, anyways, let's just start at the top of the list, or with the first thing on the list, Steam Direct. So
this is essentially opening the floodgates.
Yeah, there was no confirmed number, but Steam did confirm that the price to put a game through on Steam Direct was towards the lower end of the estimates, and they still hadn't completely settled on the number, but I believe it was Jim who speculated that it will still be close to the $100 figure.
Yeah, which is pretty much that is what Greenlight charges right now, so it's essentially bypassing the entire voting process, which it's tough to really talk about if it's a good thing or not, because the Greenlight process is so flawed. It's just one of those things that some developers just give out a bunch of stuff to get keys, or to give out keys to get votes. There's really good games that just don't get the attention because they may have a very bad title, or just not really good assets, or they're just in the concept phase when they originally put in, their stuff on Greenlight. And that's the thing, is that there's a section on Greenlight for concept, and people look at the concept stuff and think, well, this doesn't look done. Well, no shit.
Yeah. So I'm reading through the TechWrapped article, and they did do a couple of things that don't quite understand why. They've got some of the things related to Steam Direct down here in this good, the bad, and the fake. Because I'm about to mention the fact that Valve told TB and Jim that they actually employ, or they do employ, or they're going to begin employing a company that is going to check all Steam Direct submissions to ensure a certain base level of quality control. Like, does this game have an executable file? Does this game have directly stolen content? Does this game have assets that load properly? Does the game, even if it has an EXE, will it actually load on a variety of different machines and things like that?
Yeah, what's the fact that this isn't the standard now for Steam? It's sad.
Yeah, it's very sad.
There's a lot of people that have different varying ideas on where Valve should step in on just what they cut off on Steam. But I think a baseline should be the game fucking runs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to argue below that, right?
Yeah, like minimum to entry, your game must actually work. But, I mean, has been tons of examples in the last year or two of games making it on Steam through the Greenlight system or whatever, and they don't even launch. Or they have viruses in them. That's another thing that I think it was Jim. It might have been TB that said that their new QA team was going to ensure that there were no viruses.
I've never heard of a virus getting through. I have seen a couple where the game didn't have an ending. There was one where a YouTuber was doing a Let's Play of a early access game. Or it wasn't early access. It was actually a full release, now that I think about it. A new Greenlight release. That he got to a certain point in the game and just had a black screen and said, essentially saying, we'll finish the game later. No indication of that whatsoever on the store page.
Fun. No, I've actually bought a game on Steam that had a virus in it, and whenever you installed and launched the game, the virus went out and corrupted many files. I think I've mentioned it before on the show.
I didn't recall that.
It was.
I may have just blanked on it though.
Yeah, it's a. I don't know if it's still on Steam or not. I can't think of the name of it, but it was a train sort of battle game where that you. It was a real time strategy game where that you had to build like war trains and things, and that was how you moved everything around the map. But when you launched the game, it launched the virus, and then you had to go through and fight a virus. Rail Wars? Is that what it was called? I don't know. I could spend
there
some
was
time
an
trying to
anime
hunt
called
it,
Rail Wars, but it's completely different.
Yeah. I think that game's been removed from Steam, actually.
I would be surprised if it hadn't been. I mean, it sounds familiar. It's just one of those things that, well, we've been doing this show for a while, so it's kind of all blended together.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like I think it was an older game that had been remastered and put on Steam. And I was one of the first people that bought it because you know how I am about trains. And discovered it had a virus in it. And immediately reported it and all kinds of stuff. And it was on the store for a while after that. The devs claimed that they had fixed it, but more recent purchases, people were complaining that the virus was still there. So I assume it's just been removed from the store at this point.
Yeah, I'm just shocked that the standard, it wasn't there in the first place, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. So Direct, interestingly, in the article, Direct gets huge coverage, but it's honestly not the thing that I'm the most interested in, because we've known about Direct for a while, and there's still plenty of speculation. I mean, basically all they said was like, yeah, we're going to have this QA team so that now that games can just be listed willy-nilly, we're going to guarantee that they will at least run and don't have viruses.
Well, that's the thing, is that a lot of Direct requires a lot more of the store to function a lot more smoothly, because that's where we got the discovery queue segment from, was kind of poking fun at just what the discovery queue shows.
Yeah. So something else that they put here in the section about Steam Direct that I think is fascinating and I think deserves its own segment in the article, but that Steam is basically gonna open up the floodgates on all of their data on like who buys games and why.
Well,
they
not their
showed up
sales data directly, but
no, but everything else basically, so that you can see why a game is being recommended to you. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of collectors and things like Steam Spy,
definitely.
Steam Charts. Like we'll be able to incorporate that data.
You could already hear Steam Spy salivating over this.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm actually really excited about it too, just to see. Like I've always wondered, like why did this game show up? Because about the only thing you can tell is it's like because it's similar to this game that you played. I think that shows up already, and I think because your friends play it, but.
Yeah,
still, just kind of
with at least a couple of my friends idling, that doesn't exactly sell a game.
Yeah, so, but it would still be nice to basically open up the hood or pull back the curtain on a lot of that stuff and see how their algorithms work. Just honestly, for me, it's just morbid curiosity. I'd take some time to look at some of that data just for fun.
You'll just sit there and go, yep, that's data.
Nobody said anything about this so far, but it would be interesting if you could go in and kind of view your own reports and get different like statistics and things on what you purchased and like see what they predict you're going to purchase. Like not just why, but like see what they think you're going to do. I'd love to be able to go through all that stuff. I'm sure you could data mine that out. I don't know if that'll be available to you when
if I look at mine, it would be like, I don't know.
I don't know. You have so many games.
I mean, what the fuck is this? Why do you have this?
Yeah. Let's take another quick pause. The kid's in there crying. I don't know if you can hear him or not.
I've heard something in the background.
Yeah, I thought he might stop after a minute or two, but all right.
Everything okay?
Yeah. He just kept saying, "I want my bunny." I was like, "Your bunny's right here, kid." And he was like, "Okay." And then he rolls back over.
I want the other bunny.
Oh. Okie dokie. Anyways, back to it. So, yeah. I kind of like stopped us what I thought would be a good transition point to move on to the next section, but is there anything else you want to say?
Not really. I mean, Steam Direct is still very much a question mark, and it really depends on a lot of these other systems working, depending, if it is a good idea or not. So let's dive into Explorers.
Okay, I'm really excited about this idea.
This is the idea that I really like, but at the same time, I would really, really prefer it if they offered a discount, because it sounds like they are not. What it is essentially a list of games that didn't take off and didn't meet a certain sales expectation. Now, granted, where this sales expectation comes from is a good question, because are we going to be talking, Square Enix? Well, we expected Tomb Raider to sell 20 billion copies.
Yeah. So TV implied that the Explorers program was something that you had to sign up to.
Yeah, it's going to be a sign up or opt-in program. At least right now, that's what they're conceiving it as. That essentially you dig around this list for a hidden gem, and to play it, and you will be given some sort of survey or something after a certain amount of time, and also possibly have a properly moderated, which, why do they not do this for other forums? That's another question for another day, perhaps. But a forum to talk about these games and try to organize playing together for multiplayer games, and trying to find the hidden gems of Steam.
Right. So the Explorers program right now, in their current conception of it, is one of the perks that you get for it is that you get a refund that doesn't that basically is like you can refund this game no matter what, no matter how many hours you played it. Yeah, no
strings attached. Which is huge.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of games, the 2-hour mark is not it. I mean, granted, Are they saying no strings attached to the game that you're getting off the Explorers list or for your account? Because that's two very different things.
Yeah, so far that hasn't been mentioned. I assume that it would be just one of the games that you've purchased that was an Explorer title, but I think that that would be a good perk or incentive to get people to actually participate. Is you could get rid of any game, refund any game. I'm thinking I'd refund No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I was about to say, and the ownership of No Man's Sky just plummets.
I'm sure plenty of people would sign up to do that just to refund No Man's Sky. I've got to imagine that they think, or that they could see that coming. So that's why I guess it would probably be limited just to the Explorers program games. But still, I think that would be a good perk.
Yeah, I would like to see, assuming that they don't do this already, but your Explorers list, depending on how they generate it, have some sort of discount on it. So
yeah,
it's not, here's a list of full price games that don't have a player base whatsoever. Give me a 25% discount. Give me a 50% discount on these things. Entice me to play it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me being a cheapskate. I don't know.
No, I think that they need more incentives like that. Like, whenever I was listening, particularly to TB talk about this, because he spent a long time talking about the Explorers program, I kept thinking, what a good reward would be discounts or free games or some sort of point system like, you play an Explorers game and you get so many points, and then when you get enough points, you can basically buy or get games for free on Steam with those points, or use the points to purchase games and things like that, or even like direct deposits to your Steam wallet. Although some of those things might conflict with different laws and things, because at that point, if they're actually paying people, then they become some sort of employee relationship. So maybe just like a coupon for a free game or something like that. Though that would be an incentive instead. But still, something like that. I think that would be a good system. There was also talk of having like special badges and other Steam sort of visual perks for it, like emotes and things. And those are pretty neat. Those are kind of secondary for me. I mean, I would appreciate the badge and the Steam level just to get more trading card packs. But I'm getting them pretty regularly now. I've gotten my Steam level like close to 30. And I get one every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
now.
Mine is pretty much 9 days, like clockwork.
Yeah, mine's
occasionally I'll get a 10, occasionally I'll get an 8, but it's usually 9 days.
Yeah, mine's between like 12 and 16 days, I think. So roughly every 2 weeks, I get a trading card pack, which is nice. But anyways, actually I had 2 in a row, like. Within like 3 days, I had 2 trading cards, but that's like an anomaly,
I never had that.
Yeah. Within
I've also
3 days,
only
I got 2
gotten
trading
one
card packs.
Foil out of something like 30, 35 booster packs.
I've only ever had 1 or maybe 2 foil cards total from booster packs and from just getting trading card drops.
I've gotten quite a few foils, but then again, I've also gotten a lot more cards.
Yeah, you've got a lot more games.
Yeah, right now I'm eligible for 1,015 booster packs. Or games for booster packs.
Nice.
But the thing is that that number doesn't seem to really have an impact on just how often I get the cards. I've gotten them at pretty much the same rate since I've started keeping track when I hit level 30. Which is interesting.
Yeah. So Valve also, it seems, has some sort of intent of using the Explorers program to kind of serve as a pseudo replacement for Greenlight, relying on the community to sort through the games, but doing it a little more properly by like giving them incentives to do so and hopefully curtailing. Well, I mean, they are taking steps to curtail the sort of business, and I make air quotes with that.
Well, what I'm seeing the Explorers program as basically just a hotbed for YouTubers to find just hidden gems to start up recording on.
Yeah. I'm just excited to find hidden gems. I mean, I've got a large Steam library, and a lot of the games that I purchase to trade trading cards for, or, it's like, oh, it's all these games that I've played before and I want to have, or all of these games on my wish list that are really cheap and I'll buy them and play them. But, the times that I really find those hidden gems, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a game that I love and I will play this for a long time. Like gyms for me like Factorio and KSP, because at the time, especially for KSP, I was not connected to a community. I just happened to stumble upon KSP organically, and it's like, holy crap, this is one of the most fun games I've ever found. And so that sense of discovery, which I think that's why they call it the Explorers, like you're exploring games, trying to discover things. Like, I love that feeling, and so a program that's designed to help me get that feeling a little more, like get my high. Ooh. But I'm pumped
my
for
big
that.
thing is just, how do they generate the Explorer game list to begin with? That's going to be, where it makes or breaks this entire program.
Yeah. Because if it's just sort of a weird new spin on the discovery queue, then it'll be garbage. But if it's a curated list of games that meet certain criterias, then it'll probably stand a better chance of being successful. And hopefully it's the second one and not the first one.
Yeah, so moving on to curators.
Yes.
Something we've completely neglected for ages.
Well, I mean,
honestly, with all the talk about them changing the curator system, it hasn't really incentivized me to go in and spend the time to catch it up.
No. I mean, honestly, the current curator system is just stupid. TB went on for like 30 minutes of his video about the curator system. And like you said earlier, of course he would, because he's got he's got the number one curator and then like another one in the top 10. Or 8. Yeah, I think the frame rate police is...
Last time I looked, it was in the lower portion of the top 10.
Okay, so yeah, like the top 5?
Well, it was... I meant lower as in the second half. So.
Okay. How do you just view the curators on Steam?
Well, I'm just searching on Google to find them.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm not seeing the frame rate police on here. The frame rate police may have dropped.
All right, top curate. Here we go. Top curators. TB is number 1.
Yeah, the frame rate police is number 11 now.
Okay, so they're just outside of the top 10.
Yeah, they've dropped, but still 116,000, with the next one up being RPG Watch, which is 122,000.
Yeah, so...
But TB has pretty much... Well, he has almost exactly double of PC Gamer, which is the number 2 curator.
Yeah. So, the curator system, it's just awful now. It's just bad. And that's one of the reasons it's time consuming to go in and do it. And the fact that it just sucks is one of the reasons that I haven't gone in and worked on it in months. But I like some of the new changes that they're adding, or some of the new changes that they're saying that they're going to do. Allowing you to actually curate your curator list.
Yeah.
Because basically, if you want to change something now, you have to go into your list, and there's no way to search, there's no way to sort or separate. It just goes by most recent to oldest, and you have to just go through the entire list to find whatever it is that you want to change. Click on the thing, go in there, make your change, save your change, and for any changes you have to make, you have to do that for each individual item. So, for us, like, our purposes for our curator list was just to like list the games that we've talked about on the show before and have recommended for sales and things like that, and just say yes or no, here's why, basically. And we probably wouldn't ever go change those. But for someone like TB or some of the other big curators who might go in and change their ratings based on, or their recommendations based on updates and things like that, the system is just impossible to use. You basically would have to employ someone full time to do that for you. Like, that would be their job because it's so time consuming. But now they're saying that they're going to add search functionality, and I believe TB suggested ways to sort through by specific tags that you create for your curator system.
Yeah, and he also talked about essentially a subsystem of the curator. He called it essentially buckets, where you could sort a bunch of games into this. Well, for one of his examples was the top 10 games of 2016. Have his curated list of that as a sub-list in his curator.
Right. Which I would love, because then we could have your list and my list, and then we wouldn't have to put, like, next to it, our names or initials or whatever system it was we were using. So, I would love that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's very, very. Why the hell did they not do it like this?
Yeah.
It's the system of Valve where this is probably one guy had this idea and had a small team, and they just threw it together, and it wasn't really put through its paces like it would have been in another company.
Yeah.
So a lot of these very basic quality of life features that would have been caught in internal testing or during the beta phase of it just aren't there because it's not existent in Valve.
Yeah. I believe also it was actually this one might have been Jim saying that when he talked about the curator list briefly, saying that he believed that people who manage curated lists should receive some sort of incentive or reward as well, because even with the changes, it still would be difficult to make a curated list and things like that. And basically he was saying that, like, look, we're the people who sell games now. We're the influencers who sell games now, and curated lists are part of that. And he wasn't advocating for like tons of free games or whatever, but just making it part of an overall Steam reward system to kind of link in with maybe the Explorers or some other things on Steam that could all add up to the same overall reward system. Which I also agreed with. I mean, it is a lot of work to put in the curation list, and with their whole new...
Now, granted, there are some curators that's a lot easier than others. Like, there's the curator that just says Hodor.
Yeah. The Hodor curator. Which, I mean, that's just a big joke, and that's, haha, very funny. I get that, but...
Which, that kind of goes against the argument that TB was talking about, how he wants the curators to essentially be box quotes, but at the same time, the jug curators kind of negates the entire idea of, okay, why am I seeing a curator that his entire thing is Hodor? Why?
I think that the joke curators would be less of a thing if the system itself was more serious. Like, I mean, there would always be some people who are like, haha, look at me, lol, memes, dank memes, all of that. But if the system was more serious and had more more utility to it, you would see less of that.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the top curators, and some of these are completely useless. I mean, one of them is essentially a list from a YouTuber, just all the games that he has videos on.
Yeah.
With nothing there other than, hey, check out my video for this. I did a video on this.
Right. I mean, you would see some of that too, but again, I think if the system was a little bit more fleshed out, you would see less of that. And I mean,
honestly,
if someone's going to do that,
if they're going to have it where, like TB wants, where the curators become a box quote, and then you can follow them to see the box quotes more often, you need a curator for the curators.
You do. Valve needs a lot more curation, yeah, and quality control, which we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end
that's
of the
coming
list,
up.
But that's kind of the answer to all of Valve's problems, honestly, is, hey, do some work yourself instead of trying to count on algorithms in your community to do it all.
Which, guess what we've talked about a lot? Algorithms and community.
I know. I mean, if the community, I think both TB and Jim said this, like, if you're going to have your community do this work for you, then you need to incentivize them to do good work and give them the tools to do it. So I think that all of this stuff so far has been a step in that direction if they actually follow through on it and implement some more of the features that both Jim and TB suggested, which Valve did not have on their radar at the time. And I mean, to really get into what we're talking about, I think you should just go listen or watch both videos. TB's is a lot longer and more in depth than Jim's is, as their styles allow, and they each focus on sort of their personal pet peeves or their personal pet projects. But if you're only going to listen to one, I think you should listen to TB's over Jim's, just because it goes a lot more in depth into the systems. But Jim also has some unique perspectives and things that he says as well. So
yeah, particularly on the lawsuit angle of things. TB didn't touch on that at all.
Yeah. And we'll get to some of those protections and things and the way that they're changing the system to fight back against some of those things in a minute. That's towards the end. Actually, I think that might be the last one. No, it's not the last one. It's the second last one. But anyways, so yeah. Anything else to say on the curation changes?
Not really.
Okay. Next is one that I'm excited about.
Same here.
The keymailer system. So the way that it works,
essentially, trying to dip a lot of the gray market in the bud.
Right. So a long time ago, and you
in
can
a galaxy
still
far, far away.
You can still have one of these accounts, but I don't think that they do them anymore. As a press account, a Steam press account, which lets you have access to every game on Steam for free, so that you can review it or do whatever with it. But those accounts were abused at one point in time, so Valve stopped doing that, forcing developers to give out keys to be activated on Steam if anybody wants to, or if they want anybody to review their game or cover it or whatever. But obviously that has been abused as well. People impersonating other YouTubers or Twitch streamers, or sort of setting up fake accounts that look like, they have more users or listeners or whatever, and contacting these devs and being like, hey, yeah, if you send me a key, I'll review your game or play on my Twitch stream.
Yeah, me and my buddies would like to try out your game. Can we get 5 or 6 pieces of the game? Oh, right. Sure. And that ends up on gray market sites, and that's a pure profit for them and a loss of review copy.
Right. So what this does is that it allows game devs to basically give people copies through Steam, so that they no longer have to pass out these keys, which I am very happy about this. They're not 100%, or I don't think TB or Jim said how specifically this was going to work, if there was like something you applied to, or if it's just a company wants to give you a key, you give them your Steam account.
This is something. This is really going to come down to just how they handle it, because right now for my channel, I run through 2 different companies that are essentially a third party that handles the in-between between me and the developers giving out review copies. Well, actually, it's usually the publisher, but sometimes the developer. But how would I be able to get into this? Because that's the real thing. I mean, if it's just going to be for the big YouTubers, for the big Twitch streamers, this doesn't impact me in the slightest. It may actually hurt me in the long run.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that what this system is that it's like something you can apply for, like a status you can apply for, and you submit your information to Steam, and then you get maybe like a tag or something on your account, or some kind of a flag that's like, okay, this person is legit, they have a channel or whatever, they're cleared for games, and then you can just directly request like, hey, look, this game looks interesting, I'd like to play it for my channel, or talk about on our podcast, or on whatever, and then the devs can review and decide if they want to give you one or not, and then just activate the copy through Steam for you if they choose to do that, because I think that would be the easiest system for everybody. It would be quick and convenient, and it would you wouldn't have to constantly like be submitting applications, and then it also gives the devs some control, because for example, you and I, like, we swear and talk about adult things. If a game dev doesn't want their game,
we fucking swear.
Yeah, if a game dev doesn't want their game, they want their game to be, say, in a more kid-friendly environment, I would totally respect a dev to be like, you know what, your guys' content is not for me. I want my game to be more kid-friendly or whatever. I totally respect their decision to do that, and I think that's a legitimate reason. And so that gives devs some control. That gives us, the users, or on the user end, I guess is the way to say that, some control, and just smooths the process. It also, I think, would lessen the chances for abuse, because if it's just a free system where it's like, if you qualify for this, you can access these games, that could be abused with like the Steam's family share program and stuff like that. Or even just like, I'm never going to buy another game again.
Yeah, I would imagine the press copies would not be eligible for family share. if they did this.
You would imagine, but you might be wrong.
Yeah, true.
I don't want to...
Because this is a Valve system. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. But then well, to give you an example, my itch.io press account, I have a press account there that has a lot of games. There's a lot more shovelware than Steam. Well, at least I hope. But at the same time, I have open access to a lot of titles here.
Yeah.
Granted, there's really no way to sort them, and that's why I don't use it nearly as much as I probably should, just because it's pretty much just a raw list of the newest handful of games, and I could dive into it a little bit more, but at the same time, it's having an open account has its benefits and drawbacks, because it allows me to go in and start looking around to see what options I have, but at the same time, it's ripe for abuse, like you said. So there's definitely merits for both individual keys and just having the old style press accounts, which it's just comes down to really, we can't have nice things.
Yeah, because they're shitty people. We can't have nice things. I think that this is a step in the right direction regardless of whichever way they go with it. And let's just hope that it's like 2 steps in the right direction instead of only one. Or instead of 2 steps forward and 1 step back, let's just keep it at 2 steps forward.
Would be nice. But I'm almost half expecting this to be like 1 step forward, 1 to the side, and you put your right foot in, you take your right foot out.
Do the hokey pokey, you turn yourself around.
Yep.
And then there's a dozen unsupported Steam features. Okay. Anything left to say about that on your end?
Not really. This is another one of those that really, really nice in concept. Comes down to just how they handle it. And they also talked about tying this into the curator system, which once again, okay, we have 2 people that run the curator. And if I recall correctly, I set up the group. So, does that mean I get everything? Does that mean that you get everything? Do we both get stuff? Do we have to set that up? Assuming that it's tied to the curator, just in general. It's one of those things. There's a lot of questions here.
Yeah, good point. I didn't think about that specifically. And I'm sure that there are other curated accounts that have multiple users on them. I mean, I can't imagine that, like, TB, for example, does all of that curated stuff by himself. I know TB has a staff for other things. I mean, he's got a PR guy, and he's got a guy that does, like, editing and stuff for him. Like, I could imagine that he has a guy that goes in and actually puts stuff on his curated list. It might even be, like, a really trusted community member from TB's community. Like, does that guy get all the games? Would TB get the games? Who knows?
It's Jesse Cox during his downtime. He's just sitting there in pink underwear. Only pink underwear.
Jesse Cox's curator is in the top 10. I think this is like number 8 or number 7.
No, that's just when he copies stuff from his from TB's.
Oh, Jesse. I love you, Jesse.
Which Jesse has kind of grown on me after watching some co-optional. Granted, don't watch his stuff individually, but still, I don't hate him like I used to. So, yeah. Progress.
I like just about everything that Jesse Cox does. We're having an aside. I like just about everything that Jesse Cox does except his Let's Play stuff, which is like what he's most known for. I love every podcast he's on. I love the YouTube videos that he does that aren't Let's Plays, where he discusses topics or does Q&A or things like that. And I like a lot of the stuff, the content that he puts out when he's at conventions. But I just don't like his Let's Plays.
Well, what's wrong with this Let's Play stuff?
They're just... He's super completionist, and so he has,
he'll just sit there and try to get something over and over again.
Yeah, he's like, for example, for his last series on Dragon Age, Inquisition, he had like 35 episodes that were in the starting area.
Damn.
Because he was doing like he 100% things, and I find that incredibly boring most of the time.
That's when you start looking around for something sharp to just slit your wrist to end the pain.
Yeah.
As you're dying, you just write on the wall Jesse's fault and just flop over dead.
I blame Jesse.
And people are like, who the hell's Jesse? Do you know a Jesse? I don't know a Jesse.
Yeah. Okay, quick aside over. Are you ready to move on to the next section?
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the fake. It's fake games. Yeah,
so those games that I personally like to buy because you make money on the trading cards.
Well, that's the thing, is that's why they exist. The bundle that you bought for $1 that had 50-some games in it.
Yeah. So Valve wants to, and I can see why Valve wants to do this. Valve wants to get rid of these games. Like, someone finally beat it into their head that, like, look, Valve, you are a storefront, a business. The products that you carry are a representation of you. And all of these games that are just meant to be farmed for trading cards, all these little businesses that have popped up, to get games on Steam and to farm for trading cards and things, like, that looks really bad on you from a business standpoint. Like, you're just
if I wanted to look at just shit games, I would fire up the Windows Store.
Oh, sick burn.
Or actually, more truth. No, that would be broken games.
Fair enough. But so Valve has finally said, okay, we want Steam to be a place where you go to get good games, premium games. We want to be known no longer as a place where that we just will carry any old shit. We carry good stuff. So they've labeled these games as fake games, and they're working on making changes to not necessarily remove the games from Steam, but wreck those business models. So they're going to make some changes to the trading card system, and nothing has been hammered out yet, but the ideas that were floated by TB and Jim were that, one, there's sort of a level that you have to hit before trading cards unlock for a game. Like, either sales levels, like the game has to sell a certain amount, or it has to meet a certain quality standard, or be listed for a certain
developer,
price.
Not the players.
Right, yeah, the developer, not the player. Or the game has to be listed for like $5 before the trading cards will activate on the game. Because the games that do this, that make money off of the sale of trading
games,
cards.
$1 games.
Yeah, $1 or less, basically. And so they're, saying, well, like, the game its base price should be, $5 or whatever. And then trading cards will unlock. Because, nobody's going to make money on that. People aren't going to buy the games to make money from the cards, so the garbage games, in theory, would die out. They've also...
they just all go anime.
Also, going back to the QA team that we mentioned before, like, to check games, like, one of the things that they've said they want to check for is asset flip games.
Well, they said that they wanted to, but they can't determine whether a game is an asset flip or not.
Yeah, I don't buy that for a second.
Well, here's the thing, is that there's a difference between a game having assets from the Unity store and being just a trash game asset flip. One is just build out, in a day or two, just to be able to get more trading cards in the system to be able to make money off that instead of the game itself. The other is, using a shortcut on what could otherwise be a good game.
Yeah.
So if you just put a blanket... Well, this game has this toilet out of the Unity store. So, it's utterly shit. Well, that's not entirely fair because, this one game could have the toilet be bought from the Unity store to put in a house that is for a survival horror game. And they reskin the toilet to have it, look all rusty and everything. But because it has the toilet, they think it's a shit game.
Well, I mean, it is a toilet, so it is, pretty shitty.
Well,
No, I see what you're saying, but I guess the way that I'm taking that is that this is another one of Valve's deals where if they just had one or two people that was their job, like if a game, for example, a game gets reported as an asset flip game.
Can you imagine that being on your resume? Well, I worked at Valve. I checked to see if games were games or fake games.
I would love to put that on my resume, actually. I would just focus on the I worked at Valve part.
Oh, yeah, but what did you do at Valve? I mean, what was your position?
Quality control. I was a quality control officer.
Really? Valve has quality control? Wow, I didn't realize that.
But see, that's...
anyways, you exist.
That's the thing. If they could do it as a system, like a game could be reported for suspected asset flipping. And then there's a guy or a couple of guys or whatever, and that's their job. Whenever a game gets reported, they could go look at it. Because it's not too difficult to look up the assets on the Unity store and find the assets that are in a game, and then someone can determine, like, and usually pretty easily, I think, like, okay, this is an asset flip game, or just like a garbage game that's using these assets to shortcut to try and make a quick buck or whatever, versus, okay, this game is using these pre-built assets, and, maybe they could have done a better job or whatever to hide that fact, but the game itself looks like it has some work put in it, and these guys probably aren't artists. Again, though, that's the issue of, well, if Valve actually had some quality control and a few more people doing this sort of work, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, so that's Valve what I'm saying. Quality control 7-8 years ago. A lot of this wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't buy for a second that Valve actually can't tell. I do believe that Valve couldn't tell if the assets were stolen or not. I mean, that's pretty much impossible to tell unless there's something... But
yeah, unless they call up Unity or something.
Yeah, and even then it might be difficult to tell, depending on, where records and things go, and if someone did a good job hiding it or whatever. You might be able to tell, like, for example, how pirated games sometimes do weird stuff, like the patch and iPatch and Alan Wake. If you pirate the game,
the awesome patch?
The awesome patch. But, these assets might have some bits of code in them that work like that, but...
Yeah, but most likely not. Usually, the assets that we're talking about is essentially 3D models. That's what people usually think of when they talk about asset flipping, is the 3D models out of the Unity store.
Yeah. But I mean, Valve said that, what is a bad game is by and large pretty subjective, as long as the game works. Some people might derive some kind of weird pleasure from playing those crappy games. So
Jared.
Yeah, I do. So they're not just
Gaming Masochist. That's your new YouTube channel.
The Gaming Masochist. I can handle that. So they're not going to go through and just blanket remove tons of games, but they are going to make it difficult, if not impossible, for people to make money.
Yeah, they're attacking
trading card.
They're attacking the business model, not the game itself, which is the smart way to do it. Because otherwise, you start getting a lot of games that may kind of fall into this, but not really. Yeah. Games that go on sale very cheap or sell very cheap in general.
Yeah. And I have played some of these games that I think are intended to just be that I actually have found some genuine enjoyment in for a short bit of time.
So that doesn't count.
I am. And I would be sad if they all went away. But, yeah. I'll be happy when they get rid of that. Or when they do that. Because I think it'll make the store environment a better place. It'll help to unclog some of the garbage that clogs it up.
So, moving right along to Steam support, or did we want to talk about the copyright issue or the trademark issue that you said Jim Sterling mentioned? And since I didn't watch his video, I didn't see that.
Yeah, we can talk about that now if you want. They kind of mentioned it in this article right here. Let's See, I'm very quickly reading through this article to see what they say.
Well, they link it mostly to the fake games, mostly because that's where the seedier side of the Steam developers typically lie, is either the developers that just really shouldn't be the public face of a game company, or the ones that are just making money off the trading cards and attack people whenever they call them out on it.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So some of the protections that Jim suggested was a sort of strike system where that whenever these developers go through and do things like try and quell criticism by wiping their forums or their reviews, or whenever they like change the name of the game or something, they get strikes, and whenever they get so many strikes, the game gets removed from Steam or gets a tag on it that the developer can't remove, that calls them out for trying to silence criticism. And Jim was also pushing that Steam has a sort of legal protective system for anyone who action gets taken against them by these developers. Like, for example, in his lawsuit with Digital Homicide, that it took them suing Valve before Valve did anything to them. But in the case where that they actually went after Jim for doing things that were covered under
fair use
and free speech and things like that, whenever that happened, Steam should have taken action until the legal battle was resolved, which would have removed all of their stuff from the store a lot sooner, or at least locked it down. And Valve seemed to be supportive of that they wanted to have a system in place to prevent developers from lying about their games, from removing legitimate criticism. They don't want to make it so that someone who's abusing the system doesn't get removed, but that already happens fairly regularly. People who are genuinely abusive and things like that can get reported and blocked.
Well, these developers are really a symptom of something that Valve didn't foresee with the trading card system just in general. That, they didn't foresee developers making a business model off of trading cards. They were expecting maybe the gamers would get a few bucks here and there. Not, entire development teams making a living off of them.
Yeah. Which, I don't see how that anybody could not see that coming. Everything,
Valve.
Maybe this is just like the cynic in me, but everything is always exploited all the time in a system without rules. That's the problem with pure capitalistic systems, why they don't work. Because human beings find ways to exploit the system, rise to the top, and stay on the top. That's why the free market doesn't actually rule. But that's a debate for another time on another podcast. But that's basically it. Jim went in depth a little bit, like with some of the things that he said to them, and he basically was like, you know what, I went overboard, and I shouldn't have said some of the things that I said to them. Like, he stepped out of character and like genuinely apologized, like, but this really has negatively impacted me for over a year, and I kind of had my one chance to lay it all out to Valve, and so I did. He said he got so angry that he was like clenching and shaking, and like he banged on the table one time, and nobody stopped him. So I think they all agreed. But
and
regardless,
they hugged it out.
I would love to hug it out with Jim Sterling.
Oh my!
He's a naughty boy.
Spanking Tom.
But so yes, Steam is going to put some type of protection system in place, but they haven't decided how strict versus how lenient they want to be. So I'm not sure if I want them to be more strict or more lenient. I think anything is better than what they have now, but I don't want to see devs getting wholesale removed from the store just because they did one dumb thing, which I think is why like a strike system would work well.
Yeah, well, it really depends on what that one dumb thing is. I mean, if you're threatening the life of the CEO of the platform you're selling your game on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that one's fair. I think if you threaten anybody's life, that one's a fair case to just remove it. But
that's one level of dumb, but it's a whole nother level. Just the life of the CEO of the platform you're trying to sell your game on. I mean, that's dumb.
Yeah. So, are you ready to move on to the last issue of Steam support?
Yep. This one is actually kind of a short one, but also it seems like it's somewhat in effect already, because there's a lot of people reporting that Steam support tickets are being answered a lot quicker than they used to be.
Yeah, so Steam...
Granted, before, Steam support tickets could be measured in eons more than anything else, but still.
Yeah, so apparently Valve now has contracted with 2 external companies. I don't know why they're using 2, but who knows?
Backup.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Or maybe one is more of technical support and the other one is more just general.
It might be. It also might be something related to like time zones or something.
Possibly. Maybe one is something like U.S. or European based and the other one is in India.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, they've got 2 support companies that are handling the bulk of their support tickets. And then Valve has an internal team that handles the stuff that just can't be scripted out, basically, to support companies. So, and I thought it was funny in Total Biscuit's video. He's like, they were there. I saw them with my own eyes.
They exist.
So
there was this one intern.
I haven't had to put in a support ticket in a while. The last one I put in was towards the end of last year. I had a game that just wasn't working.
And its name was No Man's Sky.
No. I mean, yes, but no, that's not what that ticket was about.
Didn't you put in for support to get a refund on No Man's Sky and they turned you down?
Yeah, I did. But the game was Starship Corporation, and it had been working fine. Like, I had been playing it, and then something happened, and it just quit working. It was related to, like, a back-end update that they pushed that they didn't say anything about. And so we got it working.
Starship Corporation's on my list of games to try out at some point.
It's a fun game. A lot more management, a lot more spreadsheets.
It's essentially a building game as well.
Yeah. But anyways, so and that took forever to get resolved. I think it was like 3 days before they responded to me, my initial ticket, and then it was like a couple of days between responses.
And then it was, well, sorry, but you're past your 2-week window.
Well, I'm way past that. I bought that game like last May. But so at that point in time, if they were using those companies, then those companies were doing a really crappy job. But
before, I think it was on Gaben's AMA on Reddit at one point. He was talking about training companies to be able to handle support tickets. So I imagine it does take a fair amount of specialized training to handle what Valve has to put up with, essentially, from us.
Yeah, and I suspect that...
just imagine just the variance of support tickets that they could see. Something from CSGO related to random ancient game just not working on modern OS.
Yeah, I'd say that Steam or Valve gets hit with a ton of support tickets every day, just based on sheer user volume. I mean, they have one of the essentially most popular online services.
Definitely on PC. I'm pretty sure console still beats them on pure numbers wise, but 12 million at peak. I'm sure they see a few.
Yeah. I mean, what's 1% of 12 million like? And that's just their active, peak.
I'm pretty sure that's
users.
more than 42.
Yeah. Oh. I'm doing some quick math.
Breaking out the calculator. Filler music here.
There we go. Oh wait, no, that's 1.2 million. So I need to add one more zero. Yeah, that's 1% of 12 million is 120,000. So
yeah, which I really doubt 1% of people, 1 in 100 is sending in tickets.
Yeah, but I mean, even a 0.5% would be 60,000, and that's just peak users. So Steam's over 100 million users total, right?
I have no idea on total user numbers. I mean, it's 12 million, peaks, and that's on a weekday,
Yeah. Let's see. According to VG 24/7, in 2015, Steam or Valve announced that they had over 125 million active Steam users worldwide.
Well, technically, they also have over 125 users.
That would be true.
That would be technically correct.
That would be technically correct. And at the time, the concurrent peak was 8.9 million.
Yeah, and right now, concurrent is hitting 12 million repeatedly.
Yeah. So that's a pretty decent chunk.
Yeah, that's a few people.
That's probably over 150 million active users. So
yeah, just a couple.
So that's pretty much through the entire list.
I'm excited to see where this goes, but it really depends on, like we've talked about, just how they could incentivize people to do some of these systems, because that's where Greenlight fell down, is just they couldn't get people to do it. So, the companies that were cheating the system stood out and got through a lot easier because, they were the ones making the vote counts needed.
Yeah. Also, TB and Jim both said that, they were the first, but Valve told them that they were not going to be the last.
Not the only. Yeah, it's not going to be just in the hands of Jim fucking Sterling, son. Or Total Biscuit. It's going to be in more hands. And you're over there chuckling that I said that, right?
Jim fucking Sterling, son. Yeah. Also, Jenna went, which is Total Biscuit's wife. I don't know, nobody ever mentioned her saying anything. So I don't know if she just went with TB to help with, his health stuff, because he did recently have surgery.
Yeah, well, Jenna is actually... technically, Total Biscuit works for Jenna.
Yeah, Jenna is the CEO of what's their company?
Biscuit Corp or whatever it is.
Yeah. So,
she was there in a business capacity, but we don't know, just what was going on with her.
Yeah, I don't think she put anything on her YouTube channel.
I have a feeling she was just there holding back Total Biscuit. It's like, no, be nice.
Too bad
don't be that cynical.
Yeah, too bad nobody was there to hold back Jim.
I don't think anyone could.
He can be incredibly reserved, when he's not in character.
Maybe they just need to have, like a park ranger sitting there with a tranquilizer gun.
Yeah.
Something that could knock out a bull moose in 10 seconds.
So, yeah, Jenna has not posted anything on her YouTube channel. Her last video was from 4 months ago.
Yeah, which is just Total Biscuit eating random shit, isn't it?
Mostly. Or she
which
makes
is
him
awesome,
play,
by the way.
Or she makes him play like Honey Pop. Because TB doesn't really like those sorts of games. But Jenna will make him play.
I'm here against my will. Which makes him even funnier.
Oh, here's a video called Total Biscuit is the Prettiest Princess. That's from 3 years ago.
Which we know that's not true. That's free toss.
Oh.
Speaking of which, we're gonna have to kidnap free toss at some point, aren't we?
We should. I've seen him on Steam a couple of times in the last week, and I thought about chatting it up.
I'll get the rope.
But I've just been really tired and not sociable.
You tired? Nah.
Okay.
So, shall we swiftly move along to something else?
Yes, let us move on. Our next news topic, The Persona 5 devs threaten streamers.
Yeah, this is late breaking, at least I think. This is just really coming along, and oh, what the fuck, Japan?
Yeah, this is just another case of they just don't get it. So,
well, let's just put it this way. This is probably the most professional press release I've ever seen. Oh, wait. What's the opposite of professional? Well, besides us?
Digital homicide.
Okay, this is the most digital homicide press release I've ever seen.
It is though. They basically are telling you not to stream past a certain part of the game, otherwise they're gonna.
Yeah, I did do a little bit of research just to see how far this is. The game starts in early April. The Persona games, they follow essentially a day-to-day cycle, and the calendar ticks off to show you where you are in the game. The game start date, at least from what I was able to find, most of what I found was the Japanese version, I think, was in early April, and they say, please limit your content past the in-game date of 7/7. If you decide to stream past 7/7, I highly recommend not doing this. You have been warned. You do so at risk of being issued a content ID claim or worse, a channel strike / account suspicion. Real fucking professional, guys.
Yeah.
I would expect this from Digital Homicide, honestly. Not this. Not Atlas.
Yeah. I mean, the gist of it is they're trying to...
They're trying to limit spoilers. But yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing is that we live in the age of information. You're not going to keep spoilers off the internet. It doesn't work like that, you dumb fucks.
The only way to not have your game spoiled is to just not release it. And then no one can spoil it because no one can play it.
Or just scare off all your possible customers, which they're really in the process of doing so.
Yeah.
I mean, well, let's put it this way. I went through and delisted every single Atlas game I had on my wish list, which I had a few. Either them developing it or publishing it.
I wonder how many I have on my wish list.
And shame because a couple of them I actually liked.
How do you search for developers on Steam?
I just searched their name and picked out a game, and they were the publisher on it. But yeah, Japan does not get the internet. I mean, Nintendo's made this abundantly clear. And this is even worse than Nintendo. Nintendo just, takes your content and makes money off of it. They're outright threatening.
Yeah. Threatening to give someone a DMCA takedown.
Yeah, a DMCA takedown or copyright takedown. Which honestly, the copyright is even worse because that is a copyright strike. DMCA, that could really vary depending on what the status of the YouTube channel is. But the fact that this could take someone's YouTube channel down. Here's the thing: is that okay? Let's hypothetically, I'm doing a series on this. Granted, I definitely wouldn't because one, I don't want to touch this fucking game with a 10-foot pole now, and two, it's a PlayStation game, and emulators for PlayStation 4 just isn't there yet. But okay, I have a series up, and I'm well past 7/7. They find my channel. They hit every single one of my videos that are past this point. 3 strikes, you're out. There's no, you have a bunch of videos. That's 1 strike. No, that's 3 strikes. You are fucking done. Period. Fuck you, Atlas.
So, I don't have any games of theirs on my
wish list. Well, I don't anymore.
I own Rock of Ages, but
yeah, I do too. And I took Rock of Ages 2 off my wish list.
Well, I mean, I own the game, so I can't
Well, no, I had
I
had the second game on that series on my wish list, and I took it off.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, but this kind of pisses me off, as you may have guessed.
I can tell. A couple of these games are pretty crappy. A couple of these games I've never heard of, and a couple of them are all right. Atlas made or published God mode. Ugh. That was a really boring, generic horde shooter. It's not very good.
I know. I've seen the videos of it.
Okay, I'll stop now. You can.
Well, here's the thing. Is that this game has been out for a while in Japan. I'm pretty sure this policy was in place for that. A matter of fact, they say this being a Japanese title with a single playthrough story means our masters in Japan are very wary about it. Obviously not wary enough to scare off the customers of Japan.
Looks like it released September 15th of last year in Japan.
So, about 6 months?
Yeah, 6-7 months.
Yeah. Where were their threats then?
Nowhere. Apparently. Man, that's a big difference in release window. That really only happens with Japanese games anymore. I mean, there's usually a couple of days that are tied to the old physical, worldwide releases, but
yeah,
Japan's the only region that I know of that has massive.
I mean, I'm really hoping that this is some holdover April Fool's joke or something. But considering this was released April 4th.
Like maybe they got the date wrong, or they don't understand April Fools in Japan. So instead of 4/1, they thought it was 4/4.
Or they think that, everyone's celebrating Hitler, so they released something praising the Nazis on 4/20.
Oh. Okay.
Well, that's my go-to joke because that's actually Hitler's birthday.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Last year or the year before, it's like, okay, what terrible joke can I make? What happened on this day? Oh, it's Hitler's birthday. Well, there we go.
That works.
Nazi jokes it is.
You go to Nazi jokes a lot, though, so it's fine.
Yeah, but do you really not see that coming?
But okay.
This is just me being angry at this because it's outright threatening. I mean, I would expect this from a small indie company that is really, really worried about losing a couple sales. But honestly, the potential sales that they lose are way outgained by the free advertising that they get from YouTubers and streamers.
Right.
I mean, that's the big thing. They just do not understand internet culture.
Poor Japanese people. Just don't get it.
Well, if we wait them out long enough, they'll just go extinct.
Oh.
What was that mean? I can't tell.
Are you actually asking, or is that rhetorical?
A little bit of both.
Nah, that's fine.
So shall we move along to something else completely insane?
Yeah, let's do that. We Happy Few is getting a movie adaptation.
Yeah, once again, I have to be careful this time of year just to make sure I'm not getting a bunch of April Fool's jokes. But, yeah. We Happy Few, well, if we had the category for last year, it would be my greatest disappointment of the year. Just because of the category, or the genre it is.
Yeah. So I love at the bottom of this article, on their little quick take or the little summary section, it's, remember when we actually had to wait for the game to come out before inevitably mediocre film adaptations were announced? Yeah, me too. I mean, there's not really too much to say about it. We Happy Few looks like an interesting game that...
It's an interesting game if it was a completely different genre. I'm not convinced that they could sell the story with it being a roguelite survival thing. And that's the thing about it, is that there's a problem of pacing with those games.
Yeah. I really hope, though, that this does really get made into a movie, because Jim Sterling plays a character in We Happy Few. Oh, and boy. I would just love to see him on the big screen. I think that would be hilarious. But
yeah, but they wouldn't have Jim Sterling. They would have someone fill in that role, assuming that that's relevant to the story to begin with. Because here's the thing. This game is not finished. We don't know the story.
Yeah, that's true. And even if we do know the story that exists now, like what little of it there is, it all could change.
Yeah, early access is such a weird beast in general. I mean, we have physical copies of early access games out there. I remember seeing pictures of Space Engineers being sold as a physical release.
Space Engineers at this point, though, is...
This was 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This was a year or two ago, something like that. But yeah, when it was, there weren't planets on in the game. This was before that. It's just one of those things. Early access has attracted a lot of strange business models, and a lot of them, some of them are just a little questionable. And having a movie, I mean, I'll give it a shot if they could actually make it work. But the thing is, how are they going to tie this in? Is it going to be a story in that world? If so, that kind of makes sense. But if they're just telling the story in a movie, aren't they also kind of hurting their sales when they've already hurt themselves by just releasing a game that really no one was expecting nor wanting?
Yeah. I
mean, I remember... I was pretty sure I was either watching Total Biscuit's commentary of it or watching, it after the fact, him just snarkathon of the E3 coverage. And he was talking about how this game looks fucking incredible because they really sold it like it was going to be the next BioShock, where it was going to be an atmospheric, linear game. Then it was survival.
Yeah.
Roguelike survival. It's just, wow, this is not what I wanted. I did not ask for this. I mean, I'm not wanting to write it off just completely. It's just, video game movies have a certain
stigma,
lack of quality about them, usually.
Yeah.
They're essentially usually the money grab.
Yeah, the best video game movies are the ones that aren't actually about games. Like Wreck-It Ralph is a game
about
movie,
video game culture.
Yeah. And Hardcore Henry uses a lot of video game sort of tropes and things, but it's a unique story that works in its medium of film. So it feels very gamey, but it is, genuinely a movie.
And I would say it works the other way around. The Ghostbusters game from several years ago, it's set in the 80s Ghostbusters universe, but it doesn't really follow any of the movies. It's its own story. It supposedly has a lot of plot points from what would have been Ghostbusters 3 if we didn't get the abortion that was last year, but it still has its own elements. They bring in gameplay elements. They tie in, why you're essentially a nameless, guy. It's Bill Murray saying, well, don't get too attached to him. Remember what happened to the last one.
Yeah.
It's just, it worked.
Yeah.
And granted, you do get the rare instances that a video game about a movie that follows, or at least somewhat follows the movie, works. See GoldenEye as probably the prime example of this.
Yeah.
But even then, they take a lot of license with the movie.
Yeah, they do. I'm trying to think of some other good video game movies. There's some contention over the Warcraft movie, but I thought it was genuinely a good video game movie.
Still haven't seen it.
I love the Resident Evil movies, but they have kind of become their own sort of thing. Only the first two were really based on the games, and then they went their own way. But I love them.
Well, if you follow that logic, Mortal Kombat.
The first Mortal Kombat movie was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. It had some amazing special effects for the time.
Yeah.
But granted, not really following what story there is in the original Mortal Kombat games. But it's really its own thing.
Mortal Kombat 2 was terrible, though. The movie. Bad movie. The Tomb Raider movies are really bad, too.
I never really watched the Tomb Raider movies.
They're not good movies. I mean, they've got some fun bits, and, like, Angelina Jolie is incredibly attractive in those movies. But outside of that...
You needed more?
But outside of that, they're just not good movies. And unfortunately, they're not so bad they're good. They're just boring, generic, average movies. Although they do have a lot of fun, silly continuity errors in them. So that you can make a game out of it, but they're not good movies.
Sorry, every time I hear you say movies with Tomb Raider, I keep hearing boobies.
Boobies. I mean, that's...
I can't imagine why.
Raiding tombs and big breastises is what Lara Croft is known for, so that makes sense.
This was just one of those really quick stories. It's just, what the hell?
Yeah, I think we went on this one for far longer, though, than we intended to.
Yeah, really.
Okay, let's...
What we got sidetracked. There's a surprise.
What else is new, yeah. So let's move on to our final news topic of today, which is PETA whines at Nintendo over the milking minigame.
May have editorialized that title, but it works.
Yeah. What's the actual title say?
PETA is angry that Nintendo turned cow milking into a 1-2 switch game. Which, honestly, I think everyone's a little angry at Nintendo turning things into the 1-2 switch games. But that's mostly because the 1-2 switch games are kind of bleh.
Yeah. They should have been the pack-in game that they weren't.
Yeah, really. Okay, so they have the letter that they sent to Nintendo here. Shall I read this?
Knock yourself out.
Dear Nintendo.
I like where this is going.
I'm writing on behalf of the people for the eating of tasty animals. Oh, wait. Sorry. Wrong PETA. That's the one I support. The people for the ethical treatment of animals. PETA. Not the bread. And our more than 5 million members and supporters worldwide. Our staffers and activists have been playing recently the cow milking minigame for the Nintendo Switch and realized that you've taken all the cruelty out of milking. We applaud you for this. Oh, wait. We have more than 33 years of experience investigating dairy farms and whining about video games where cows have been exploited for their milk. And it is never that pleasant for these animals. Can you have some realism here, please? I'm just going to stop there and think. Realism, please. PETA, is this really that high on your to-do list?
Apparently it is.
I mean, I remember you having an utter shit fit about the clubbing of seals in World of Warcraft. At least I think it was a clubbing seal quest. To the point that you actually boycotted on one of the servers. And people showed up to this little boycott. And they started putting down feasts of roasted pigs. Didn't you learn then that you're taking this a little too far? Plus, are you sure that the milking is that unpleasant for the cows? I mean, have you asked a cow?
Well, I said this one before we started recording when we talked about this, but I have milked goats and cows, and they do enjoy it when they haven't been milked in a while, because it's like this huge pressure like builds up, and it's really uncomfortable for them. And so whenever you milk them, it relieves the pressure. Also, the same thing happens for women who breastfeed.
Well, shall we continue with the letter?
Yes, I love how I just like killed whatever it was that you were doing with some facts and realism. There's your realism, PETA. I do want to... PETA is stupid, and I hate PETA. I don't have a problem with people who want to treat animals better.
Well, here's the thing. Is that PETA is a feel-good organization. They don't do a fucking thing.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, that's what honestly, I was about to say.
Honestly, they go against what they preach far more than they actually do help. There's statistics out there that say that they kill a vast majority of the animals that they rescue because it is kinder to them than to try to make them the slaves of the man. Okay, I may be paraphrasing a little bit, but that's pretty much.
Are you becoming a feminist, or...
well,
they see what I did there? Third-rate feminism, it sucks, yo.
It's nearly as whiny as PETA.
If you want to write your letters about what I just said, please send them to VGLpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to argue with you about modern-day feminism.
Well, to be fair, we are recording this on Equal Pay Day.
Oh, yeah, which Trump repealed the Equal Pay Act or whatever it was that Obama put in place. So,
oh, he did? I didn't see that one.
That happened today.
Sorry, I've been too worried about sanitizing my search history.
Yeah. I genuinely am using a VPN a lot more these days. But that's, I think, stories for another time.
But let's see. Following the announcement that you've accepted Billings Farms Museum's challenge, we're hoping you'll listen to some of our feedback as well. And now here's where things start to get a little crazy.
Okay.
To stimulate the milking accuracy, 1-2 switch should need to show all aspects of dairy farming, including the violent insemination of female cows, on what the dairy industry itself refers to as the rape rack. I'm just going to pause there for effect. Yeah.
I'm just shaking my head.
Cows produce milk to feed their babies, but their young are torn away from them as soon after birth so that human beings could use their milk instead. A mother cow will bellow for her calf for days after the baby is taken away.
Yeah, that's not true.
Perhaps you could add these sounds to your game in order to remind players that by drinking milk, people support an industry that separates mothers from their babies. Ooh. Can you tell I'm not taking this seriously, by the way?
Can't tell at all. I thought you were giving this your full, undivided concentration.
We'd be happy to provide you with video footage of the filthy conditions that cows endure on farms for you to include in your game, because I'm sure Nintendo would love to include that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Granted, PETA usually finds the absolute worst, most inhumane farms and call it the industry standard, but that's beside the point. Let's see. If you think that the gruesome nature of this world is too upsetting, we suggest instead of sugarcoating the subject, Nintendo switch. See what they did there? To stimulating activities in which no animals suffer. For example, an almond milk minigame in which you pick almonds could be quite fun. Sorry, I've seen a Super Tofu Boy. I'm going to disagree of your concept of fun. Granted, the fact that M. McMillan put Super Tofu Boy into Super Meat Boy is fucking awesome, and actually the reason why I originally bought that game. And you're quickly Googling this game now.
I've never seen Super Tofu Boy.
It's essentially their version of Super Meat Boy, because a skinless boy, is obviously a terrible, terrible thing to have.
Tofu Boy has an inflated ego, is not actually as effective as he thinks he is. With the lowest speed and jumping height of all characters due to a major iron deficiency, Tofu Boy is virtually useless. Oh.
Super Tofu Boy and Super Meat Boy can complete 2, maybe 3 levels. And that is, being generous and extremely tougher than any other characters. How do you unlock Super Tofu Boy and Super Meat Boy?
He can be playable by typing pedophile in the character selection screen, then selecting any character at the character selection screen. That's hilarious.
But anyway, they finally finish this off. Is your team brave enough to face the truth? Oh no, Peter, are you?
Probably not. And my favorite thing about this is that they typed it, all right, fair enough. Then they printed it on a piece of paper with their letterhead on it and took a picture of the paper and then posted that. PETA, you killed a tree. And trees are a very important part of many animal ecosystems. And you just destroyed an animal ecosystem. Maybe a squirrel's little house or a nesting place for a wood owl. PETA.
Or this could have been the part of the stick that stuck up Ingrid and Newcoat's ass.
Touche.
It's just really, PETA, really. What is there to say to this? I mean, what the fuck?
I can say that this is another section that drug on way longer than we thought it would.
Mostly because me reading the letter, but it's just you can't not read it.
Yeah.
I mean, they included the term rape rack. How can you avoid that?
Okay, let's see what happens when I type rape rack into Google.
Donald Trump gets hard.
Rape rack.
I have a feeling that if this is an industry term, it's the term that the farmhands use, that the rather idiot ones that are lacking a few chromosomes.
There are a lot of pictures of people shoving their arms into cow vaginas. The first few sites are
PETA related?
Or other types of extreme animal activist sites. What is this? Behind the Myth.
Oh,
Happy
boy.
Cows Behind the Myth.
This is not going to go to a happy place, is it?
And
welcome to the cow rape portion of the podcast.
Yeah, this is another one of those sites. Pit of Despair. What's this?
Pit of Despair. That's the company meeting for PETA.
The Pit of Despair was a name used by American comparative psychologist Harry Harlow. I know that name, but I've never heard of the Pit of Despair.
That's because they completely made it up and they're just attributing it to him.
The device he designed, technically called a vertical chamber apparatus, was used in experiments of rhesus monkeys at the University of Wisconsin in the 1970s. The aim was to produce an animal model of clinical depression. Blah, 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 blah.
So they had him adopted by a PETA member.
Pit of also called the Dungeon of Despair.
I'm pretty sure I read it there once.
Oh, I know what okay. I recognize this from one of my history of psychology textbooks, now that I'm looking at the pictures on it. It had like little slippery slides inside, and they took monkeys away from their moms, to baby monkeys, to try and study depression in animals and see if it existed. And it, like, the mom was on one end and the baby couldn't get to the mom. Like, it could try, like there was like little like slides and things that it could try to climb up, but they were such a steep animal that the baby monkeys couldn't climb them. So there you go. There's your psychology lesson for today. A lot of interesting studies done in the 60s and 70s before there were rules and regulations governing that sort of thing.
Yeah, but of course, PETA latches onto those because, the fact that there's ethics today, that doesn't factor into PETA's worldview.
Yeah.
But then again, PETA, is your team brave enough to face the truth? So yeah, turned it back on them.
Way to go. Way to go. Now I'm thinking about like all the interesting experiments that happened in the 50s, 60s, and 70s before regulations came in and took place. And I'm like wanting to go on a psychology tangent, but we shouldn't, because I do still need to go to bed and get up and do things tomorrow. So let's...
I kind of want you to go on a psychology tangent on Ingrid Newkirk, because she is fucking batshit crazy. Actually, she's fucking batshit as well. I'm pretty sure that they eat it. They love their guano.
Bat poo is a very common ingredient in makeups. Many mascaras and face masks use bat poo.
And also, PETA letterheads.
Apparently so. All right, let's move on to our next topic.
Yeah. Is there anything to talk about here on me?
No,
this is more just making. This is just making fun of PETA, really. But they're asking for it.
This was. We'll peel back the curtain a little bit. This was filler content because we were worried we wouldn't make the time.
And this is catharsis because, damn, it feels good to make fun of PETA and yell about stupid developers after some of the bullshit. It's nice to yell. It's nice to say the word fuck every so often. Fuck.
Indeed. All right, let's move on to Community Corner, which shouldn't take very long. We received
at least in that theory.
No letters this week. Only tweets and responses to question of the week. So,
actually, tweet. But let's do the question of the week first. If you had your choice, what game would you induct in the Video Game Hall of Fame and why? This was talking about the Video Game Hall of Fame from last week. Kyle, Tetris, made with Soviet tech and still played today. Kyle, you got your wish. You kind of wasted your wish, didn't you?
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't Tetris already in the Video Game Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Kyle, way to waste your wish there.
Yep, it was added in 2015, according to the Wikipedia page.
And also one of the heaviest, ripped off games because, it was a Soviet copyright, so, who the fuck cared back in the day?
Yeah.
Let's see. Chemist. Counter-Strike 1.6, any Elder Scrolls / Fallout, Need for Speed Underground 2, original Prince of Persia, or Super Smash Brothers. All really good choices. I would say probably one of the older Elder Scrolls, really, more than anything else, though. Just because they really laid the bedrock for it, or definitely one of the older Fallout games.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia is a pretty good choice, but also the Prince of Persia series is kind of dialed off.
Yeah, there hasn't been a new Prince of Persia game in a while. I think the last new Prince of Persia thing was the Disney movie from, 4 years ago? There's another video game movie that's alright.
Didn't realize they made a Prince of Persia movie.
Yeah, it's alright. It's not great, but it's alright.
Well, there's great praise for you. It's alright.
It's alright. Hey, for video game movies, that's pretty good.
There's what you could put on the poster. VGL podcast. It's all right. It didn't want to make me jab a fork in my eye. Okay, be cool. Farmville for showing the masses the greatness of microtransactions to get fake currency that can be used to overcome arbitrary time gates. Okay, real answer, TIE Fighter. It was the best space combat genre added to X-Wing / Space Commander and made being the bad guys realistic. Which I didn't really consider arcade games for a long time. That was the driving force in video gaming.
Yeah. I like the X-Wing and TIE Fighter series. Good games.
Let's see. Jim, Dune 2. It essentially created the RTS formula that's been used ever since, and that's a game I completely forgot about.
Yeah, Jim's answer is my favorite answer.
Yeah, I never really played it, though. It's one of those games that I know of, and I think going back to is pretty much impossible at this point.
Yeah, it does not play well with modern hardware. I think there's some emulators for it, or you could run it in DOSBox maybe. But it doesn't.
Let's see, Groove. No Man's Sky, best multiplayer game ever in awesome, diverse universe. Groove, go to your room.
Back to the crate for you. How'd you get out?
Well, I thought I smelled rancid jambalaya. But that's all the question of the week answers. And we had one tweet, at least that I found. Well, we did have Chemist talking to us about the RSS feed, but that's some inside baseball stuff, and I don't think you'd really want to hear about that. Kyle, what would you say is the ideal price for Kerbal Space Program?
What would you say is the ideal price for Kerbal Space Program?
Yeah. For me, I do think Kerbal is way overpriced for what it is right now. I mean, it's a $40 game.
I think Kerbal's a good $20 game.
Yeah, I was going to say $20 to $25. But here's the thing. Is it really depends on how you price your games, because Kerbal is, well, technically a simulator game, even though it kind of fakes some of the physics quite a bit. And simulators are usually a premium to begin with, and it's also technically an educational game, which also is usually a premium. So that's why, I was pushing up another $5.
Yeah. Yeah, I think KSP is a $20, maybe $25 game. There is a lot of stuff there, but it's a very niche product.
It's a very niche product, and also it's a game that if you don't get over the curve to start off with, there's not a lot there.
Right. Yeah.
It becomes, instead of a space exploration game, a blowing up the VAB game.
Right. So, yeah,
and it does require a lot of understanding. I mean, to the point where you start watching about space, or a little tangent is that I turned on the Sci-Fi Channel Sunday and caught the Sunday movie and thought, holy shit, ever since I played Kerbal, I cannot watch these anymore.
Yeah, I have that problem with everything I watch now, because Kerbal genuinely taught me rocket science. Like, I guess Kerbal itself didn't teach me, but in order to learn the game and basically get good at it, I had to learn rocket science to play Kerbal and orbital mechanics and things like that. So I can't watch any space movie now and go, yeah, that's not how it works. I don't know how you're actually controlling that ship. That's not how orbits work.
Well, no. So no, they were talking. They were buzzing this asteroid, and the computer voice that I was talking about the heat shield. It's like, why are you so concerned about your heat shield right now?
Asteroids don't have atmospheres, so you wouldn't need a heat shield.
Better yet, why is your spaceship vibrating like that? You may want to go have the engineers take a look at that, because your RCS system seems to be a little jank if it vibrates like that whenever you're trying to perform a maneuver. Better yet, how are you? No. I don't want to know how you're communicating in real time whenever you're beyond the moon.
Yeah.
And better yet, how is hacking this satellite dish supposed to divert this? Well, actually, it was Mercury. It wasn't an asteroid in this movie. How is it supposed to divert Mercury that's been slung out of its orbit? And better yet, if Mercury's been slung out of its orbit, that's the least of our problems. Because I'm pretty sure that means bad things are going down.
Indeed. Yeah. $25. I've talked myself into $25 for sure now. But no more than that because of just how niche it is.
Yeah, it is a very expensive... it's on the expensive side of the indie games. That's for sure. But honestly, they sold a lot of their copies before they hit the $40 mark.
Yeah.
And they routinely go on sale to about the $15 mark, which is, to me, a good deal. And I do completely agree with some of the negative reviews on it, talking about how the learning curve just doesn't teach you how to play it, which is completely fair.
Yeah. Okie doke.
So that's it for the community corner. If you wish to send in anything, or have us read or listen to your letters, or tweet at us, you can email us vglpodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at vglpodcast on Twitter.
Alrighty. What's our recording time at? Because you keep the timer.
2.5 hours.
Okay. We'll see. We were going to do 2 discovery cues because we went along on every single section. We'll see how long it takes us to do 1.
All right.
So we may or may not do 2. But let me pull up.
And we'll see if you remember to do the fun bed music that I found.
Yes. I have the music, and I think I will have the time to do what we said and make a loop of it and get it put in. But
yeah, well, my first game right off the bat. Well, here's the thing: is that since you could see the first game or two in the discovery queue, I've been seeing this, and I've been saving my discovery queue. Fallout Shelter. No, thank you.
Oh, why not?
Because I played it before and I lost my save, and I have no interest in playing it on Steam.
Fair enough.
Let's see. Well, here's a game that'll make Kyle rock hard. Explain 11.
Oh, Explain 11 is on my list too. That's the first game on my list.
Yeah, actually, really good graphics on this.
It looks nice. I've never been a huge fan of the flight simulators, though.
And suddenly, Kyle is thrown into a fit of rage.
I mean, they're fun. I've played them, and I do like them, but when it comes to
it's
Sims...
it's not something that I would put down $60 for. For simulators, I'm more on the KSP or Simple Plane side of things.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes to Sims, for me, I go trains all the way, so...
Choo-choo, motherfucker. Let's see, Thimbleweed Park, another one for me. Looks like a knockoff of, well, they say, from the creators of Monkey Island and Maniac Mansion. Well, there's a pedigree right there. But I'm pretty sure that's Bowler and Scully, or at least supposed to be. And it has a very old school look to the point-and-click adventure, where it has the open, close, give, pick up, look at, talk to, push, pull, use commands down at the bottom with an inventory. Boy, I'm picking up a lot of games.
What'd you say this game was called?
Thimbleweed Park. I just put the link in the notes. I just have it.
Park.
I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right.
That looks interesting. Yeah, I'll put that on my wish list. To just sit there for forever, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm glad you're getting some good stuff. So far, I got Jack.
Here's another one. This looks like essentially Final Fantasy Tactics. Only,
okay.
Well, not with Final Fantasy, of course, but it has the turn-based elements of the combat. I'll drop the link first. Oh, the show notes are going to be a pain in the ass for me to make this week. It's called Rimberta, or Rimberta. Oh.
Oh, of course, it's a VR game. Shit.
Oh, it is?
No. This game on my list that I was getting excited for.
I was about to say, wait, this doesn't look VR.
Yeah, Project Lux. The crime is murder. Our story takes place in a court trial set in a futuristic world where most humans have cyber brains. The defendant on trial is an agent who coordinates with artists to create the data for cyber brains to interact with people's emotions. The victim is a girl artist named Lux. And it looks like a really nice,
and
like,
she's
sort of
out of it.
Cutesy anime sort of, I don't know, court Ace Attorney type. I don't know. It just looks fascinating. It looks really pretty, great art style, neat idea. VR.
Yeah,
and it's required, not an optional.
Yeah, it's starting to get to the point where VR is actually getting some games that are more than just experiences.
Yeah. Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy Telltale on my wish list. You go. Love Guardians of the Galaxy. Love Telltale games. I've been excited for this for a while now. But I guess it's on Steam. Available April 18th. Pretty close to my birthday. But unfortunately, it will be the first episode, so I shan't be playing it then. I always wait for the whole thing to release and then buy it.
Yeah, and that is it for my queue.
What Guns of Icarus? Oh, Guns of Icarus Alliance.
Yeah, that's the new one.
Oh, okay. I really enjoy the original Guns of Icarus.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I played of it. Just didn't get to play too much of it because it's a very small community, and they, played a lot of it.
I'll put this on the list.
So, do we want to do a second one?
I'm not even through mine yet.
Well, I'm done.
I have 5 games left in my queue. Let's see. I'll lightning round this a little bit, and I think we have enough time to do a second one. That game looks like garbage. What is this? Mirage Arcane Warfare. From the creators of Chivalry Medieval Warfare. But it's like a magic version of that. That looks cool.
Oh yeah, I've seen some stuff for that, but not really dove into the game just yet.
What's it called? Mirage Arcane Warfare. Yep. Not necessarily a full-blown recommendation, because can't play it yet, but looks cool. Put that on the wish list. What is this? Yeah, it doesn't look interesting. That's 3D platformer, definitely not in my on the road.
At least it's not a 2D.
Oh, another truck simulator. I'm good with Euro Truck Simulator.
Does this one look shit, or?
It looks okay. It looks like Euro Truck 1. Let's see. Realistic Truck Simulator. Use the early access phase. Oh, I think this is made by a German company.
Of course they are.
Which they do tons of these simulator games.
Yeah, what is it with the Germans and the simulators? Can someone explain that to me? I mean, when they're not invading Poland, they're making simulators. Invading Poland.
We can do another one real quick if you want to.
All right.
That went pretty fast.
Make show notes just a complete hassle for me. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Give you some more work. Last Man Standing.
Well, I got Guns of Icarus Alliance.
Nice. So this looks like another one of these Hunger Games-esque games.
Domina. I've watched Total Biscuit do a video on this. Amazing game, except for one teeny flaw.
What?
The complete and utter lack of a save system.
Oh, is Domina the Gladiator?
Yeah.
I've seen some videos of this. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It plays like your typical clicker-esque simulation strategy game. No save system makes it an instant no-sale for me.
Wait, like there's no
way to save the game, period.
Well, that's a problem.
You have to play from start to finish. And TB did a stream of 3 hours of it, and he wasn't even a quarter of the way done.
Dang.
Granted, he was spending some extra time on it, but the dev was saying, "Oh, you could beat it in an hour or two." Well, TB said, "Well, maybe you can."
There's
not even a pause feature.
It's got massive negative negative reviews with it's like this game looks awesome, like all these awesome things, but you can't save, so this is terrible.
Yeah.
I assume they'll fix that right quick, fast, and in a jiffy.
They better. Let's see. Next one I got. I did put Domino on my list because it's one of those things. If they can fix it, then I'll definitely recommend it, but not till then. Got Lego City Undercover, a couple-year-old port that runs absolutely terribly. Which is a shame, because I would actually like to pick up a Lego game at some point.
Lego City. I like the Lego games.
Well, this is a non-themed one. Well, it is technically themed, but it's not one of their franchises that they have licenses for.
This is a terrible cover image. Affliction. This automatically, or like this feels like a Steam garbage asset flip type game.
Fake game.
That's just like, it's kind of a creepy
picture. I got Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, which supposedly, if this sells really well, it will get another game in the series. But the previous Bulletstorm was held back by a crappy DRM, and guess what? They didn't learn a fucking thing.
Bulletstorm's a fun game, though. Although I played it on Xbox, so I didn't have to worry about any of that.
Oh boy, got Ukulele.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad things about Ukulele, which is really sad.
It's very polarizing. I think that's the best way I could say it. But here's the thing, is that people are letting their politics get way, way too invested in their reviews. I mean, I understand punishing a game dev for business practices, but there's a lot of shit going on in the background of this that we can't even begin to cover because there's just so much of it.
Yeah, this looks fun. Has Been Heroes.
I watched TB do a video of it earlier. It possibly, but there's just some. It's one of those games that I would have to play first, I think, and that's the thing.
Yeah, the art style looks super cute, and I like this kind of silly premise. The goal is to escort the king's twin princesses to school, which I think is cute. I'm gonna put it on the list. All
right. What in the hell is this?
Okay.
This looks like some sort of almost Monster Rancher-esque game, but they don't want to call it Monster Rancher. The combat looks absolutely shitty. You wake on an unknown place, which turns out to be another world because we can't think of anything else. Open the dimension gate once more to return to your own world. That's the entire storyline of the store page.
Okay.
This explains it. The community helped pick this title. Green light. Here is something interesting. Beat Cop.
Oh, I've seen some stuff about that game. It looks neat.
Yeah, this is.
I like the premise.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a very Papers, Please-esque on how you have to handle some of your daily tasks while also running through the storyline. I'm going to put it on the list because it's one of those games I want to play, but at the same time, I'm not rushing out to spend $15 on it.
Right.
I mean, it is going to go on the wish list, though, because, yeah. And the thing is that also, they're supposedly really playing up the theme of the 80s cop movie. and I played a game like that not too long ago. Yeah, We Are the Police. So if they could handle the theme really well, then I'd love to play it. Granted, I didn't really care for Papers, Please just because there was too much for me to juggle. And I just didn't find it that enjoyable. So it really comes down to just how bad it is. Because I'm looking at some of the screenshots. You're getting knocked on your performance because you didn't respond to a theft at a particular place on your beat. Didn't respond lawfully to the fire, but he responded lawfully to when he patrolled the entire street. He stopped an extortion attempt at one store. So yeah, there's a lot to watch, and I'm not sure if that would be for me though.
Yeah, it looks neat though. So I'm through my queue. Most of my games in this queue were like asset flip type games. So
yeah, a lot of mine were trash. My entire queue was Beat Cop. So good thing we got that out of the way.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, it's time for us to wrap up the show. Which means that this is the part of the show where I go first. And what's coming up on my channel? So far, still nothing. Even though all of like the emergency panicky period is over, I'm still gone like 13 or 14 hours a day from my house right now, just because of the added commute. Like my commute went from being like 25 minutes on a bad day to bare minimum an hour, depending on how far I have to go for the clients that I'm seeing in their homes instead of the clinic. So I do outpatient therapy.
And how many cats you have to step over?
Yeah. So far, none of that, but I'm sure there will be some that have some not so nice places to live. But I get paid more for that, so I can live with it. Anyways, so on the channel, probably still nothing this week. I'm just gonna be honest, probably still nothing. I'll do my best. I got a lot of ideas and a lot of videos to release, but I just haven't had time to do any rendering and editing and stuff. So probably still nothing, and I do apologize for the continuingly very slow number of subs that I'm getting. I have gained another 2 since last week, so I hope you enjoy the older videos that I have. If you want to go watch those older videos, and for some reason if you want to go stare at the podcast on YouTube, or perhaps you do watch the podcast on YouTube, you got there by searching for Gaming Psychologist. If you want to watch me stream games on Twitch, which may or may not be coming back this week, because even if we do all get together on Friday, we're doing character creation night for our new Star Wars RPG game. And I don't know if I'll stream that or not. Like, there's no gameplay there. It's just all of us sitting around talking and making characters, but who knows, I might. Regardless, if you want to watch me stream games when they do come back, you can do so at twitch.tv/jarthur4707. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I did those out of order. If you want to follow me on Twitter, where I tweet about all kinds of random things, not so much this past week because of everything that's been going on, but I promise I'll get back to those sweet, sweet political tweets soon enough.
Oh, don't worry. Trump's done some stupid things in the last day or so, so I'm sure you got something to complain about.
Yes, indeed. You can
Maybe.
Follow me there at JMA4707. And if you want to be my friend on Steam, I accept all Steam friend requests and just assume that they're all awesome people, and so far no one has proven me wrong. My Steam username is jarthur4707.
And if you wish to let him know exactly what episode of the podcast you listened to add him, the password for this week is utter.
That's utter, UDDER, I assume.
Yep.
Not utter.
Also known as what triggers PETA, it seems.
Cow boobies.
No, let's stick with utter. Be scientific about this.
Right.
Cow boobies will be next week.
Sweet.
Actually, I'm not promising that, because I have a long list of words.
Fair enough.
And honestly, the list grows faster than I could use it. Okay, so my channel, last week I didn't have the Sunday Sampler or the video Ritual said. I was mostly giving Jared some leadway because he was buried under a mountain of paperwork, and I figure, having to only record one episode of Divinity is a lot easier than having to record two. It's twice the work, it's a simple mathematics there. So I held on to the last episode I had of Divinity Original Sin. That'll be going out, for us today. You can find that on Gaming with Caffeine Rage. That'll be going up. Somehow RimWorld is still ongoing with the Victims of Circumstance. Don't ask me how. Let's put it this way. I'm at 30 hours on this series. My previous series were under half this. This is really going to mess up my average. And completely makes up for that one where I had 4 episodes and I pointed out, I should really do this. And, I didn't get the chance to enact that. And exactly what I pointed out ended up costing me the colony. But at least I called it, right?
Indeed. Called it.
And Halo Combat Evolved is, to give you an idea where I am at the Silent Cartographer. And Jared could probably tell you exactly where I am in the game.
You mean the Silent Cartographer?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, sadly I'm behind on watching the Halo videos. But
yeah, I noticed because I'm not getting any views on them.
Oh, I'm going to watch them. I'm going to get there.
And critique all the bad moves I'm doing. Actually, the last few episodes I've recorded, I've changed my gameplay to be more grenade-based.
That's a good step.
Explosions! Throw a spider at him.
It's a nice red versus blue reference there.
You can find all that, including the podcast, Fridays at noon, at Gaming with Caffeine Rage, and you could also catch me on Twitter, mostly bitching about the end card system because I'm trying to figure out exactly how to make something look decent with it. Turns out the end card system sucks. Well, unless you want to make something that looks exactly like every single other fucking end card on YouTube. Then it's excellent. But I don't want to do that. So it sucks. You can find that over at Gaming with CR on Twitter. Even though I'm not exactly sure why you'd want to see me bitch about my end cards, but inside baseball stuff. I mean, you put up with Jared tweeting about Trump, right?
Yes. I actually have gotten more followers since I bitch about Trump all the time.
Can't imagine why. Once again, if you want to contact us on the podcast, if you somehow got amnesia since the last time I've said this, you can find us at VGL Podcast on Twitter or email us VGLpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, gaming-related topics, or miscellaneous things. Especially the miscellaneous things, by the way. If you wish to pay for this absolute nonsense, you could help support the podcast with our Patreon campaign, patreon.com/VGLpodcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever else that Jared has somehow gotten the RSS feed to work, somehow, you can find us over at VGLpodcast.podbean.com, as well as iTunes or Google Play if you haven't found us there already. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and you can find his work in Computech.com, and we have more music, which I didn't write down the name of, and I'm not going to say just because Jared may not use it, but it's also from Kevin McLeod, and it's some of his newer stuff. Being mysterious, but still covering copyright.
And as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.